We love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a man.
I like my haters like my coffee, extra mad and bitter. Internet lawyer, I like you, so yeah, the man's a quitter. He's strapped face up behind the platinum grill. I style faceless, just pick these mic skills. And in the street killer, I will not be denied. That I'm mic'd up, I raise my head with pride. A force of nature, cruising the whip, doing walk-bys on your boulevard. Face my verbal clip. In this land of live streams, baby, I'm on the road. Got my feet on the media, scraping them up my souls. It's that umbrella guy facing the accusers. Cleated outside 14s, crushing all those losers. It's that umbrella guy, they said we couldn't make it. Never ask permission, just sense our goal and take it. The media buzzwords, they will never save you. Listen and believe it's meant to enslave you. Challenging the hypocrites, and baby, I'm on fire. They flash titles like they're royalty, but it's truth that I'm a journalist. Scribble nursey rhymes, one in this grill in the basket, with a tisket and a tasket, and their morals in a casket. No morals in a casket. They're always pushing make-believe and weaving straw to gold, but I'm sick of all the fairy tales and buying what I'm sold. Strolling into the backyard, taking truth on tour, baby, there is sickness, and that umbrella guy's got the cure. Look, it's that umbrella guy knocking at the door. No more ministry of truth than the plot of 1984. They're dumping all my verbal clips. The case is filled with knowledge. They're on the mic like kindergarten, and I'm taking them to college. Why the mask, baby? Cause this has to be a crime. I'll take the mic and boom, there in the chalk outline. I used to throw elbows, but now I'm dropping nukes. You wrote another hit piece, isn't that cute? And the worst part, they'll never learn. Did the fourth estate start channeling crash and burn? They pretend that we need to get their permission. That umbrella guy crushing their ambitions. You're not my competition. It's that umbrella. It's that umbrella guy steamrolling them out for fun. Mic check, mic wreck, paging this army of one. There's no hesitation, no doubt, not even a scintilla. The Tokyo baby and me, I'm Godzilla. Crushing them like Godzilla.
All right, there we go. Fucking YouTube, man. I hate YouTube some days. It took me forever. Oh, man. Yeah, they turned my they turned my audio channel off. I had to go in and put in another audio channel. There's these weird things. You like don't get bans, but you get weird fucking things that happen. Yeah. I've gotten to the point, though, it's kind of crazy. I've gotten to the point I know how to fix those problems because they happen. So anyway, how's it going, folks? Welcome to It Took a Few Minutes to Get This Rolling, but hey, baby, it's going to be a good one. You'll enjoy tonight, I have to say. Anytime we got that absolute bomb material, what happens? You have to have problems, right? Of course. Of course. But yeah, we got something good today. The war between the Hale's haters continues. We find out just how bad it was when a certain Lynette Preston narked John Cook out. And here's some news, too. You know, the thumbnail litigation, it moves forward. Like I told y'all. I told you. And people didn't want to hear this. But I said that is a shit lawsuit. It's garbage. But you know what? The filing that was calling it a sham lawsuit wasn't good either. It was not a good filing at all. It felt like, I don't know, it didn't have a lot of case law in it. It felt thin. Now, there's a lot more you can go for without even getting there. You know, you can challenge that on speech laws. You can do all kinds of stuff to it. But I'll read that decision as it goes forward, too. I was like, my cigar was like, ugh, it went up my nose. What a day. Oh, shit. Oh, that threw me off, man. What's up, Fallen Hero, by the way? Let me give you some love right off the bat. Thank you for that gifted membership. I love it. Thank you. Cynic in Chief, too. Thank you for the 5 there. That Tug guy, he is too unprofessional. I know it. I know it. Get Baby Umbrella Girl on instead to tell us, not 911, about her favorite TV shows. Indeed. They actually went to the aquarium today out in Chattanooga. They have, if you have never been to Tennessee, and in Chattanooga, they have a massive aquarium complex. It is freaking amazing. And their grandma and grandpa wanted to take them as part of birthday, and it works at school, you know, homeschool stuff too. So they went out there. They had a lot of fun. Here's the crazy thing, too. I'm going to note this, then we'll get started in a second. Even if you don't homeschool, you need to apply. If you're a parent out there, you need to apply for the little proof of teacher. You know, like I get a little teacher card because I'm a homeschool teacher. And anybody that helps me, they get an associate teacher one. You know, you can sign up. You can do it for free, actually, through any collective in an area. Well, if you go somewhere like the aquarium, you get 20% off. So the cost for an entire year for 4 people versus the cost of one visit, $16 difference because you have that card. So yeah, it's crazy. I'll come back all year long. I can pay 16 more bucks, you know, and it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. I think for 4 people, it's gotten up to something like $150. It's wild, you know, what the cost of that stuff is, but oh, it's good though. It is a great aquarium. I remember like going out there not too long ago, and it was like half that price. So every place out there has been like, oh, there's a reason to raise prices, man. The beer bug, and freaking, you know, you see it in your grocery carts. So anyway, we'll get on that today. Now I want to play something. Now this is really interesting, by the way. I went in and cleaned this up today, but I want to show you who actually dropped this, because this was kind of wild. Now we talked yesterday about Shara, AKA, and again, I've been debating putting Jokelist entire because people, they know that name. But Shara decided that she was going to do a follow. And this is actually, we went over some stuff yesterday that was like, you know, there are a couple of pieces here and there. This, oh, it's something else. But it's fascinating because you not only have that, but you also, I'm going to show you this before we go over. I went in and cleaned up the audio to this a bit. I amplified. I cleaned it up to the best of it. It is body cam, you know, sound. So it is what it is. But you'll be able to hear almost everything in it. And you can hear it pretty well in this one. Like I said, I cleaned it up. But I want to give credit where credit is due. So check this out. I would actually say, go and like this video just because. Why? Because the haters for her, they're really mad that she doubled her subscribers in a day. You know, went up to, from 80, right at 160. She's 156. I think that's hilarious. You know, that's what the hater channels do for you. Nothing. Nothing, baby. Nothing. Double that in a day. But you didn't even try. I wasn't like, hey, go out there and check that out, baby. You know, but it's funny because when you read through the comments, the haters are mad. They're really mad. They're like, yeah, so, been there, done that, totally. Do you think you'll ever hit 1,000 subscribers? I say no. Your hand got played a long time ago. Gave you a thumbs down. They're so salty because she started to put this shit out there. I love it. Oh my God, it hurts me inside. Oh, the Game of Thrones continues, man. The game of Turtle Thrones continues. Oh, it's so magical. What's fascinating, too, is, okay, so she put in this as well. Like I said, I'm going to play this. I cleaned it up. I put it on Dropbox, so it gives better, sometimes. But again, credit where credit's due. You know? And especially considering the stuff that's going on there. Again, she told us yesterday. If you missed yesterday, that's a heck of a stream because of some of the disclosures that Shara has noted on Facebook. She's noted that they have threatened her with litigation. I say that again. They have threatened her with litigation. That's what she's saying. Oh, and so much more. I mean, her Facebook is fascinating right now. And I don't even like Facebook, man. I avoid that platform like the damn plague. But not for this. Not for this little cup of tea. So, she put in here as well. She put in this part. I'm just going to say Preston and Sheriff's Investigator. She decided to put this in here. And we'll listen through everything, like I said. But I just wanted you to catch what she decided to highlight. So you get an idea of where mindset's at right now. Preston, I told him, you ain't getting no more guns. Sheriff, what was your thought process on taking them away? Preston, his brain ain't working right. The alcohol takes a toll on John. Sheriff, what was your thought on taking the guns from him? Preston, he drinks all day long, every day. Sheriff, what was the concern? Preston, that I didn't want it to happen again. She admits that it happened, by the way. You know, pulling the old pew-pew out? Yeah, she admits it. Straight up. Straight up, she admits it happened. Hey, little one, what's up? For a second. Hey. What is that? I can't see it. Oh, did you bring me something? What in the world is that? Is that Play-Doh?
I don't know.
All right, well, I'll set it right here for now. Oh, hey, is that...
It's mine.
Okay, we take it upstairs.
I just wanted to show it.
Okay, well, thank you. Hey, will you shut my door upstairs? I didn't shut it real good. Can you... The sound gets through it.
Oh, here's my little...
Okay, we'll put it in your hand. Okay, hey, do me a favor, though. Shut the door really good, okay?
I didn't close it good.
Yeah, I didn't close it good.
I almost fell.
I know, I saw that. You got to take your time with the steps. All right, love you, kiddo. Hey, get you some rest. You had a busy day today, okay? All right, give me a second. All right, here we go. So, Continuing this, I had to switch it back on where I could see it. You know, I've set this up with them coming in. Like, I'm not fast enough to click the mouse sometimes when I hear them. So I have a little switch over here that kills the monitor feed. So I turn off my side of it so I can't see it. You know, that way they can't see it in case there's something objection. But these are just words. You can't read them. But, yeah, why take the chance? You know. So anyway. What were your thoughts on taking the guns from him? He drinks all day, every day. Sheriff asks, what was the concern? She notes, I didn't want it to happen again. She also says, John has threatened my mother at times. When he gets drunk and gets mad, he will call my mother and tell her he is going to her. I have his ex-wife in a bottle in my shed. Yes, again, we're going to play this. Just listen. I have his ex-wife in a bottle in my shed. He belittled her. He abused her. He humiliated her. John is a liar. He thinks you got to lie to cover everything up. You always lie. Never tell the truth. He taught the children safety. In Landon, John always carries his gun out. Huh. Now, Shara decided to point those parts out. Again, 2 days, 2 interesting uploads. I keep wondering, what will tomorrow bring? I mean, this stuff's getting fascinating. So I think we should listen to that. Let's switch over. Now, like I said, I put this in a Dropbox. You know, I wanted to give credit where credit is due, like I said. Make sure that you note that, because I do not like taking material from somebody without crediting them. And I'm not taking this necessarily. What I'm doing is making sure that yonder Dropbox, you know, it's a little bit better. Now, there is no visual, so I decided I would add my own visual to it. She actually put a still picture of somebody with a pew-pew. I thought that, I mean, that works enough, right? But I thought, hey, what better than the iron bucket? I mean, throne. Listen to this. I kept this, I'm putting this, let me make sure the CCs come up and I'll turn the transcript off, okay? The transcript and the CCs, I think they should be exactly the same. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure the CCs work. If they, let's roll. Now, I need to note too, I don't know how the volume will be when it comes on. Okay, so I amplified the volume. You're going to get the rustling and other things. You can't help that. But the words themselves come through very well. So adjust sound accordingly. Okay, I don't know how that will be. I'm just warning you right off the bat here. Okay.
I got them. That I can have bubblegum paint it, and then I can put the neck like it all up.
What? Oh yeah.
You can't have gum.
You can't have gum?
Because if you have gum,
No
it will
bubble
plug it
gum?
up.
Well, that stinks.
The rustling like that will stop after a little while. You can tell, you know, again. There's an officer, you could hear the little one, and you, of course, can hear Preston.
Where's it at? Is it back there by where he's at?
No, it's in my
Okay.
on Sunday.
If y'all want there.
They had 2 board members from Otter Creek. They had.
Now, again, the subtitles are not going to be exact. I did not create the subtitles. This is it doing its best, just a note. You know, again, the rustling, though, the madness will stop. And what's happening here, well, again, you'll be able to place it. It's, like I said, it's fascinating because you're going to hear some pretty interesting admissions in this stuff.
George, Martha Risk, everybody met up at the rehearsals and waited for this whole thing to go down. And they admitted it.
Now, what's fascinating, despite everything that happened with John Cook, by the way, you notice this. They told the police that it was planned. that those other people out there, despite the wrongdoing, that somehow in some way they admitted this on live stream. And it's like, what the fuck? That never happened. What happened in the aftermath is that the people this happened to were so distraught by it that they actually reached out and tried to make contact because they didn't know what to do. I mean, they're out-of-towners. They're dealing with, you know, this situation. They have no idea what's happening. But you hear how the narrative, even when you're caught red-handed, as it were, what's the idea? Blame the Hales. Always blame the Hales.
Step back for a second. He's going to take over on this word. Then we're going to grab it out. That way it doesn't look like
we know where it's at. Step back. I don't want you in the picture. That's all.
Anything she takes pictures of could be public record, and we don't want to take a picture of you, the child.
Right.
I got a kiddo come in for 1 second. Hey, kiddo, what do you got again? Yeah, you need to take that upstairs. You can lose it.
That's for you, so
Oh,
I
okay.
can lose it.
Okay, well, thank you.
I'll change my
All right.
mind. I'll take care of it. Yeah.
Well, I'll take care of it. Here, I'll set it right. Give me a second. I'm gonna set it right up here.
It's a circle, because I made it to a circle.
I know, I see it. It's beautiful. Thank you. I put it right up there where it won't get lost or roll off, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
I love you.
I love you too. Close that door for me, though. Tight, okay? Because sound gets through otherwise. Thank you. That's big helper material. She made me, she's been making Play-Doh objects for people. So she made me a heart earlier, and she made me a circle. She was bringing it to me. Let me turn my monitor back on. Okay, here we go. Now, they're talking about here, too. They're talking about taking, of course, pictures of everything there. They're telling her this stuff may end up publicly. You may actually have all of it end up publicly, and they're trying to tell her to stay out of the pictures and keep the kid out of the pictures, too. You know, they're being pretty nice about it. Like I said, this gets interesting.
Kids can even tell you. Hales.
Okay, hold on.
Where's it at?
In the dresser.
In the dresser, okay. Kind of guide me over without you actually having to grab it.
Yeah, I have to. It's locked in my dresser.
Okay, well, let's step over there. And don't grab it out, just kind of point to it whenever we go there.
That's
So you notice, again, where is it? Huh. What it would they be looking for? It's locked away in the dresser. Huh. And the popo are like, hey, she voluntarily, voluntarily turning over some stuff. Interesting. Wonder what that could be.
The bubble gum?
I'm doing this and protecting him from his alcoholism. I'll take the gun, take both of his guns away because I don't want. I'm done with him. I'm sick of fucking Hales. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of all of it.
Now, see, they blame Jeremy. They blame Jeremy again. So she's talking about taking his away. Locking it away because he's a fucking alcoholic. He drinks all the time. So that little thing we talked about with red flags, yet again. See, I know that there was a video posted. Now, I don't talk about these things. It's actually been pulled down. But there was a video posted of John and the child. It has been pulled down, so I feel like I can note that now. But I find it fascinating that she says all this stuff about him. She talks about him being a monster. An absolute monster. She talks about his alcoholism doing this and that. And there has been no follow-up that anyone is aware of where they've gone in and they've tried to remedy that through anything except incarceration. Incarceration doesn't get the mind clean. The body may be clean. Someone I know called that a dry alcoholism. I think that is a very good term for it. There are many terms for it, but a dry alcoholic is still an alcoholic. They're dry. They don't have alcohol in their system, but they have the same thought patterns. They have the same addiction. And more than that, Jeremy Hale and others are still being blamed for what went on. That's not taking accountability in any way whatsoever, you know? It's just wild. Give me 1 second. Pull this up. Hey, Lori, thanks for the 5 there. It seemed like it was out and accessible to the child. Actually, there's some, well, we just listened to some stuff in that. Somebody said this was on the Hales today. That's interesting. I saw this come up with her at 3 o'clock. So they may have gotten it. Everybody may get it at the same time. Like I said, I don't take anything from I don't even watch their video until I get in, do a live stream, and then that night, unless it's just something so insane that I have like 30 emails being like, you got to watch this before your live stream. You have to talk about it. Like when Judge Grudge got removed. That one's a big one. So if for some reason, yes, like I said, the first person I saw put it up was Shara. And regardless, if Jeremy puts it up, again, not even talking about Jeremy in this situation, talking about him with them blaming him. But it's fascinating. Like I said, you know, the mentality, again, I'm watching the people that were anti-Jeremy, anti-Hales, but they become anti other people that are attached to this, and it seems like anti-Michelle Preston. Again, like Sharon noted yesterday, she had given money for emergency electric and said that she had donated more and that she had been lied to. And then again, you know, like I said, there was the public call out with Lee, but it sounds like problems happened before that. When you listen to everything being said, there was some kind of insane breakdown behind the scenes. That to me is fascinating, because what you're seeing is a self-destructing, as it were, of this narrative that revolves. And in that, you're seeing people go full Pac-Man on each other, which is just, they're gobbling each other up like power pellets. Again, who will be the last one standing? I mean, it makes you wonder, oh man, did you put on your outfit for Halloween?
Like Pac-Man and half.
That is very
I got
cute.
2 stripes on, and then I got the goggles.
So she's been showing me her Halloween thing too. She got a Minion outfit. It's a little girl Minion outfit. She likes to wear it around the house. You know, she just loves it. But also she has a Squishmallow. What is that? A little pirate?
It's a little pirate.
Yeah, and you can wear it on the outside like it's a giant Squishmallow pirate. And she puts them together. She wants to wear them both this Halloween, and they're cute together. You're very cute in that, you know. Hey,
I gotta put the main goggles on first, because it ruined the whole entire outfit.
Okay.
It'll make it destroy the entire outfit when I put it just on.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. All right, close my door. Thank you. Oh, she's excited today. So we will have a visitor quite a bit. I have a feeling. Yeah, no. It's all good, too. Also, let me say, Jack, thanks for the 2. I know Crook always blame Jeremy. There's a certain time when you have to take some responsibility for your own action. I again understand that they don't want to take any legal responsibility, but holy shit, you've got to take some type of responsibility self. You know, a little bit of introspection there. Because the alcohol thing, again, we've had many people note alcohol and John Cook. Many people. And nobody else can fix that. Only you can fix it. Anyway, continue.
He's killing my family.
Don't show it to me yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be some muting here and there. I'm just going to let it play until the mute ends. I don't remember. Actually.
Get a knife, it's too humid.
I have a closet. It's a puppy.
You have a closet?
Yeah.
A little bit.
We have friends. And puppy. I got this.
Again, this is their body cam footage, too. You know, they send out. I hate this. You got, in the middle of all of this insanity, you have a little kid front and center. And that's awful. I mean, that's absolutely awful. You know?
No, it's your flower for
Yeah,
you.
well, thank you for my flower, too. I mean, it's hard to imagine, honestly. Like I said, I'm going to have a dart come in and out of it, and I got a flower, too. But she's been out, and she's excited about the aquarium thing. I mean, just hearing this, you know, you got the police in your home, you got a little kid right there in the middle, hearing everything, every single thing. That's not healthy. By the way, I will note too, just let me say this, disclaimer, do not contact anyone whatsoever. Do not contact the people involved. Do not contact agencies. It does not help, and we do not do that. That is my disclaimer. Because of litigious assholes out there. Obviously, that is something that nobody should do anyway, but I am making sure I put disclaimers with that. It's just, like I said, it's wild to hear right in the mix.
In my story said, how I live when I was first born.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. This is Florida. This really lives in the Florida.
It's gonna have to be from the sides. The block is open, it's too humid.
Mama has grandkids.
This is old.
I choked on shit.
And then we don't want to eat them.
I can grab something big enough to hopefully pry it open. Go out, Mommy.
I choked on
Can I go give her to my kids?
Yes.
You gotta love when the subtitles are like, I'm gonna go give her to my kids, and it says, I'm gonna go give her to my shoes. It's like, what? How do you miss that one? It also gave a fake, or an improper, rather, I shouldn't say fake, an improper subtitle. Again, I don't make these. This is just how it understands it. And it put some profanity with the child. That's not what the child said. You know, every child has a unique sound, so I can't decipher everything this child says, but hearing a child all the time, it makes me decipher some of it.
What's bigger than that?
They're in the garden. If you get a stay here a second, they're doing police work over there. You might stay here a second.
There we go, Miss Lynette. Bring it over here.
Yeah.
Miss Preston, we have it over here. I'm gonna try to get this key out for you.
All right, just leave it in.
Okay. You mind if we grab them out?
Grab them.
Okay. Yeah, and again, you can withdraw consent at any time.
So they made it clear, too. You notice that. Again, they're talking about the old pew-pews. They're talking about grabbing them out. And they tell her right in there that she could withdraw consent anytime. She's 100% consenting to this. Remember, when you read the police report, as the police talked about this incident, they noted, just straight up, they told you that Cook, through all of this, was maintaining his original description of everything that went on. He was saying, you know, that he was out there, that people basically, they went by, there was a person leaning out the window doing this or that, so he ends up ducking and hiding. He's denying. Along the way, too, he's saying that he does not have any more pew-pew. Remember that as well. Because he had sold it. And then when cornered on that, he changes his story up until he's cornered, finding out this has happened. So he has no idea. The point in that isn't just to say, how many lies do you need to be confronted with? It's also to say that she didn't let him know this was going to happen. He had no idea what was happening here. I mean, he's out there again. He's weaving his tail. And again, he betrays him on that. Now, I'm not saying that that shouldn't have been noted either. I'm just saying it's very interesting that they came up with a tale that wasn't correct. But then, in the aftermath, when they're saying, yeah, that's correct, who do they blame it on? They blame it on the people that it happened to. They blame it on Jeremy Hales. And again, prosecutors, they do two things: jack and shit. By the way, I'm gonna vague tease this, okay? Be very vague. There is some absolute crazy. You think some of it, oh my God. So right now, I am aware of, when we say bombshell, you know, there are bombshells. They seem to drop. This would be the hydrogen bomb of bombshells. This thing will be insane. And I'm not like fake hype posted, you know, like the royal flush. No, this mother will be humongous. It's just got to finish up. But oh man, it's not its time yet, but there is something coming. Something, oh my Lord. You know, again, I can't wait for it. I mean, you're going to be like, holy crap. You know, oh, it'll be here soon enough, I think. Soon enough. But anyway, let's continue.
Nope, I want it over.
Okay.
They knew. Sheriff John did not pull the gun. They used that incident to set him up. They sent that guy to do this, and it's all on that life.
So again, she's trying to double down and say, despite them lying and lying and lying. See, this is what kills me, because ultimately the prosecutors, it seems to me, decided that they're not even going to try. They didn't even try. They're just like, he's going to spin a narrative. So basically, what it tells me is that any asshole out there can spin a narrative and keep spinning it the whole time. Just blame somebody else. And I guess if you live in Otter Creek, hey, that's going to be good enough. That's good enough. And I'm not saying the police drug their fucking feet too. They absolutely did. But you end up with evidence, admissions that this stuff happened. Now again, they try to construct this insane narrative that it was somehow a setup and admitted to in a live. Again, I'll say that. Admitted to in a live. Did you ever watch that live? Because I sort of missed that part, you know? Wild, isn't it?
Kind of go through and tell me what happened that day. How you say your stuff was set up, all this stuff happened.
John called me. I didn't answer the phone.
What time was this?
I have to look on my phone. I don't know.
This roundabout.
I don't know. It was right after it happened, within minutes.
Okay.
John texted me and said, you know, this just happened.
What did he say?
It's on the text.
Okay.
He said the incident without the gun part.
Okay.
He said that the guy had drove by filming.
Yep.
Then he drove back by filming. He said something to John. John yelled back, "Shut up, maggot, go away." And then the guy flipped it in reverse.
Yep.
Now we know the filming thing. We had the police there. They saw the phone and everything else, by the way. So if there was filming that actually showcased that incident, that would have been something to 100% prove what he had done. So, I mean, right off the bat, you know, again, you see the narrative here. So the narrative, it's different when John tells it to the police the first time, like the stuff we listened to then. Now you have her. I mean, she's coming up. This is what she says he said.
And John thought the guy had a gun.
Okay.
Or that's what he said to me. That's all he said at first. Then later, after I got home, the next morning, it came out. I went and looked in his closet. Because he told the sheriff, when the sheriff came out here, the gun was gone.
Yes.
So
Maybe it sold it or something.
So I went and looked. He didn't.
Right there. Boom. Right there. So she, you know, again, like what more do people need? This is her words. Her fucking words. Let me repeat that really slowly for some of you people out there. Her words. He lied to the police about it. You want to sit out there and applaud this shit, acting like this is some big Bravo win because this motherfucker didn't go to prison for it? He didn't actually face real consequences? Yeah, sure. He sat in jail for a while they tried to figure out how to do, again, that thing they did, jacking shit. But ultimately, nothing happened to him. You applaud that. You think this is safe? I mean, at some point, you got to be like, wait a minute. This is pretty messed up. I mean, she's admitting he's running around with a firearm. He's an alcoholic. He's full press blitz, according to her. Again, I'm told all the time to take her at her word. So I'm taking her at her fucking word with this. But it's like, hey, Tug, take her at her word, but not with this. You know, and again, we got this litigious asshole out here that's be like, oh, if you talk about that and you say anything about it, I'm going to sue. Well, fucking sue then, dude. Because her own words are right there. How are you going to explain that one away? Are you going to tell me that ain't the mother of all red flags? I mean, seriously. This is a person that lives in his home. Oh, my God. Again, the applause, though. It grosses me out. I remember when when all of that was dropped, they not only applauded it, they went after the lady that had that happen to her. These people are supposedly advocates. That's what they like to say. Before, anyway. Now they tell us they're just PR. PR is a much different beast. But isn't that fascinating? So let's continue.
So I took the freaking gun away.
It was in his closet, like in there?
It was in his, next to his bed.
Okay.
So I took it out and I locked it up and I told him, you ain't getting no more fucking guns. That's it. I'm not having the accusations. I'm not having nothing.
Yeah.
So I took them away.
What was your thought process with taking them away?
He wouldn't get in there. He's dead. His brain ain't working right now.
Yeah.
The alcohol is taking a toll on him. And he's terrified of the Hales. He's terrified of this constant setup.
So his brain ain't working right. Right? His brain ain't working right. He's an alcoholic. But believe him on this conspiracy that all of it is empowered by Jeremy, Hale, and George. Believe that, though, right? Oh, my God. Oh, Lord. But she admits the day after, knowing that this stuff was a lie, she admits to going and getting said firearm. But again, she knows better than. And yet. So continue.
Taking the gun from him.
He drinks all day long, every day.
What was the concern?
I didn't want that to happen again. If he said he had to have done it.
Yeah.
He had to have done it. I didn't want it to happen again. So I've said over and over again, looking at this stuff, listening to Jeremy Hales has said over and over again, this is dangerous because where does it stop? Okay, people want to ignore Jeremy and say he's some kind of monster, right? Okay. Other people say, like myself, said over and over again, this is escalation. This stuff is dangerous. It keeps escalating. And you know how stories like this end. What's the answer to that? Oh, no. You don't have any idea. You know what you're talking about. Okay, well, she said it herself. She thought if she didn't take away the pew-pew, that it's going to happen again. She herself admits that. I mean, what more needs to be said with that? Like, again, I'm sure there's going to be some fucking spin-off of this. Again, she admits that this stuff happened. She admits to taking this firearm that supposedly, it didn't exist, right? After John Cook lied to the police, she admits, knowing that, taking the firearm, putting it up, and the lies continued. The lies continued until it all fell apart. Because again, she let everything be known. It's crazy. Again, though, you get all kinds of spin to that. Like somehow ignore this too, right? Somehow, in some way.
So
It had to have been true.
So tell me what he tells you about what actually happened. It's not like tell me what he actually
He
said.
did, and later he
later.
said that he had the gun. He always carries his gun in his pocket.
Yeah, and it's your
Said-
property. You can.
Right. He said he was behind the tree. He had been fixing the stereo, which is absolutely every time you turn it on, you have to go to.
Yeah.
He was, stop trying to get away from me. Stop trying, go in here. Sit down, go sit in there. Stop trying to get away from
So
me.
he was trying to fix the stereo in the yard.
Trying to fix the stereo in the yard. The car went by this way, filming, which we're a circus.
Yeah.
They invite people over.
Yeah.
They turn around, Willis does and says, there's the nasty neighbors, give them a story about us. Then they go about their little freak show over there.
So again, they've blamed Travis now. You understand why certain people get sued too, don't you? I personally believe that the litigation that we see is not only vexatious, but we see that aimed at specific people because, well, you see them over and over again getting named in things. They are part of this insane conspiracy. You know, we hear about the bad neighbor drama in all of these filings. And yet you tell me, what constitutes a bad neighbor? Is a bad neighbor somebody that puts up signs about you? Is a bad neighbor somebody who pulls pew-pews on people riding down the street? One that fixates on you, saying that you are totally you are the bad guy, and anybody that has contact with you in any way, shape, or form, they're somehow the bad guys. I mean, it's wild to listen to. Travis thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
So the guy goes by, he yells something at John, turns back around, John says, go away, maggot.
Yep.
And the guy pulls forward and then hits reverse.
Okay.
And John
I like that. Go away, Megan. Go away, Megan. That's a voice clip, by the way. Anytime Megan gets on a live stream and gets off topic, I need to clip that one. You know, I need to clip it back to back with I have anxiety over the roof. Go away, Megan. I have anxiety over the roof. Those two together would be amazing, wouldn't they?
said he reversed, it's on the text message.
Okay.
He said he reversed really quick, and when he did, he thought he had the gun in his hand. So John said he pulled the gun out of his pocket. That's all he told me. He didn't say he pointed it at him.
He said he pulled it out of his pocket.
Pulled it out of his pocket. He said, but then he retreated. John retreated from the tree into the chicken coop. He backed up into the chicken coop and put himself in the chicken coop because he thought that guy was going to shoot him.
Did he?
See, this right here, though, the lies that have come up repeatedly should have been enough for prosecution right off the bat to go in and do something about this. Prosecution should have. Because again, the narrative that came up, it's just a bunch of bullshit. There's always an excuse for doing something, right? There's always an excuse. There's always some kind of crazy narrative. By the way, if you like this channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell people that we are live. We went live early today, so make sure you tell people we're live. Make sure you like the old broadcast. I haven't looked at how many likes. Man, we have 1,700 people. Like I said, Megan too. Megan has something going on, so she couldn't live stream today. You know, she had some stuff she had to take care of. So I talked to her, and she was like, "Nah, just go live." So I want to make that clear too. You know, it happens to all of us. But we had planned on live streaming. There's nothing crazy going on or anything. You know, I'm waiting for the spin on that too. Oh my God, they're fighting. Yeah. Yeah, sure we are. Yeah, but we'll see about Thursday and live streaming. We'll see exactly how that goes. Although I'm not sure how Thursday will be, because Thursday, that is also a big day. That is the day my oldest turns the big double digit. So that is her birthday on Thursday. But it is also a Thursday, so usually, celebration is somewhat that day, but usually you celebrate later. But we'll see. We'll see what happens that day. I don't know. See what the oldest she wants to do. But yeah, her birthday, man, 11 years old, by the way. Isn't that crazy? That's absolutely wild. I know I'm off topic here, but I just want to note this. When my oldest child was born, she had complications. She didn't breathe right when she was born, and it was scary. It even scared the doctors. So, when we first, usually they show you a child, but they didn't. They ran her back to the what they call that, NICU. And I went back to see her later, she hadn't had her eyes open. I have huge hands. She'd fit in my hand pretty much, a little overlap, but she'd fit in my hand pretty much. She hadn't even opened her eyes to the world yet, and she had IVs in her hands. Imagine, like, not even open your eyes, you already got IVs, needles stuck in you and stuff. And I was the first person to see her. She's crying and everything else, and because of course she'd be upset. But I always sing her a little song, a little made-up song. Before she was born. And, she was upset when people would come by, they would talk, it'd make her more upset, because of everything going on. Well, I went over and I sang her little song, and she not only, she stopped crying, and within that time period, opened her eyes at first. So she ends up opening her eyes. So it was the first person to see her, but it's crazy looking at a child that goes from a handful to becoming, that's one of the reasons, like kids' stories and stuff, I feel so bad for kids in situations, because regardless of what happens, like, it's not a kid's fault. Like the child in this, and again, do not contact anyone over there, I'm just expressing my opinion on this. This child is looking at absolute insanity here. There are police in the home. There's a discussion about a firearm being pulled by someone that she's saying is an alcoholic. Full-time, dangerous alcoholic that walks around with a firearm, just constantly in their pocket. When you think about that, that's horrifying. Like, that's a terrible situation. And again, like I said, don't contact anyone over that or anything. I'm just expressing my opinion on it. Because again, I'm not here to say anything about pro or con for, like, who should or shouldn't have. What I'm saying is, taking her word for it, she is pointing out the biggest red flag I've seen in this situation, and that is that person. And again, there was video of that person going out and taking that child somewhere in public. I mean, it's an awful situation. When I hear that, I keep thinking about that red flag there. Like, it's a giant red flag. Like, it's not. 1960. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Thugs too. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Oh, let's continue though. The kid thing. It upsets me so much when I see stuff that does impact kids, And the problem is, like, I'm not saying either that there couldn't be anything in this situation. First of all, some of the statements that have been made, that classic go-to about people being abusive, like, that is frightening. As far as I'm aware, there's no, besides not drinking, that's been the thing they've said. Okay, if there's no drinking after, I hope to God that is the truth, by the way, that the alcohol has been set aside. But unless there is constant care, unless there is someone that is a professional that is involved, Oh, hell. I'll note this too. Maybe somebody could note this to them. John Cook would be the perfect person for something like Vivitrol. Vivitrol is a shot that you will get that will not let you drink. You can say that you're clean right now, but it won't let you fuck up. It would be covered by your insurance, I'm sure. I'm sure you have state insurance, because we've talked about being destitute. You filed it and stuff. It would hit you for 30 days, and if you drank, it would make you sicker than hell. It would give you that time. If you mess up, it keeps you accountable. So maybe one of these people should, they never offer any type of fix. Nothing, again, maybe they'll build a fence. Whoop-de shit, it doesn't fix these issues that are happening on the other side of that fence. Like, the real way you fix that is people need to fucking take accountability for their problems and fix it. Sue, thanks for the 5. Any other state or commonwealth, the DA would file those charges. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. They would have at least, in my opinion, you would have at least seen some kind of plea deal. I don't think you would have just seen it walk away. Now, I'm not saying that that the outcome would have been a desired outcome, but in this situation, when I look at it, I feel like the people that had this happen, Patty again talked about, I didn't know who these folks were. I had no idea. I just came down here because, I was riding along with a van and an 8-year-old. Again, you can hate Wes for everything else. Do you hate him? But there's an 8-year-old involved, man. And if that would happen to you, what else could happen? It's scary. And even Lynette is saying this. Apparently that doesn't matter.
He actually see a gun, or he said the
Didn't
guy
know.
went in reverse, and why did he say he thought that he had a gun?
Because the guy had the window open. He had unrolled his window and had his hand out the window, so John didn't know whether it was a phone or a gun.
Okay.
He said all he saw was something dark. And I believed him because we get it every freaking day.
They get it every freaking day. They just have random people that they do get filmed, for sure. Because the police, again, he honestly, to be quite blunt about it, Patty would have been better off if they would have been fucking recording. But at the same time, then they would have probably used that to say, that's a stand your ground case. He didn't really know. It's like lose, 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 no matter what the fuck happens. And again, where does this stop? How does the escalation stop? Thought it would at least slow it down, but Lord B, thanks for 249 Tug. I want a horror story for Halloween. Hey, I wrote a horror story actually. I wrote one out. I wrote a shorter one, so maybe I'll read it. I do like to write out stuff if I'm sitting around bored. Got a little time in the middle of the night, can't sleep because I'm an insomniac. So maybe I'll go over that.
They've said they were going to kidnap us, kidnap her, kill us.
After John did...
They said that they were going to, again, Mr. Hales, if you'd like something else to add to your litigation, she's telling the police that you all have said that you're going to kidnap them. Kidnap the child and to them. If you like something to add to your litigation, there it is, by the way. Because again, they're making these statements out to anybody. How far, when they're willing to say this stuff to law enforcement, knowing that this is a bunch of trash, how far away is the reality of putting out signs to defame a person? How is that out of the realm of possibility? I mean, they seem pretty intent on, again, putting out just some crazy freaking narratives. Like I said, I read through that initial filing. Well, I said initial filing. The filing that covers all of the claims for Jeremy. And that stuff, man, some of this stuff, it's just like, you have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. They become very comfortable in telling this tale that reality doesn't match up with. But it doesn't matter because people keep letting them do it. They keep empowering it. They keep backpatting. In fact, they're giving them money these days, which is fucking insane to me. It's just absolutely insane. They just gulp up again what is noted just flagrantly as PR. When a person tells you they are running PR for somebody, that doesn't mean they're looking at a story or they're chasing truth. No, they're doing public relations work. They're trying to fix someone's image. What does that have to do with the truth? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Public relations does not mean truth.
The chicken coop, what does he say happened?
The guy drove away.
And then what happened?
John texted me immediately. I was at the flea market getting my booth ready. So I finished and I came home. The next morning, the sheriff came. That's when the sheriff asked him and he...
Okay, and that was because of John Cook, by the way. So we listened yesterday. If you missed this, Shara has this on her uploads too. I think all the pieces are interesting when you put them together. You could skip a lot of yesterday, but if you go to the back end of that upload, where it's body cam, you know, but you have the you have dash cam video that goes along with it. Like when you're listening to everything, listen to the conversation at the very end where John Cook is talking to the police. Because you get snippets and pieces, you know, and you also get, that's why the police end up coming back the next day, because he tells the police that she is at the flea market. She'll be back that night, but you can tell he's thinking about coming back the next day, because that's the way it seemed like. That's the way that the sheriff or the sheriff deputy, whatever the fuck he is, the law enforcement officer, how he processed it.
He said that he sold the gun.
Yeah.
That's when I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
So
because you knew the gun wasn't sold.
I didn't think it was sold. No.
Okay, so you knew something was wrong, so what happened then?
I went in the closet, got it, and I hid it when he was out of his room.
When you say closet, you said beside the bed.
There's a closet.
Okay,
There's
it's a closet.
closet. He keeps it in because of the baby.
Okay, so you hid it. Did he know it was in the shed?
No.
Okay, so you hid it, and what happened after that? Because at some point, when does he tell you what actually happened?
After the...
Did he say in the shed? Give me 1 second. Like, what was that? Give me 1 second. I want to hear one line before again, okay? Just give me one moment. Bear with me. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you hid it. Did he know it was in the shed? Okay, so you hid it, and what happened after that? Because
knew it was in the shed? Talked about the closet, so... I mean, I'm curious. I'm trying to picture it all together. For some reason, I kept thinking, you know, every closet, okay. All right. Again, though, she's admitting straight up that she knew right away when she heard this narrative that it was a 100% lie. Now, what fascinates me, what I'm really curious about is why put that in the police's hands. She says, if we go by her narrative, it's because she's saying that John's dangerous. He's an alcoholic carrying around a firearm, and she didn't want it to happen again. It's interesting. What the fuck? And you know, if you look at comments, again, from the anti-Jeremy Hales, or anti-what-the-hales people, they say that this is no big deal. This is old news. How is this old news? Because the incident happened a few months ago? That made it old news? Because you're finding out all of the reality. Basically, you as a person in the public are seeing, it feels like you've done more investigation into it than prosecutors were willing to do. You know, because again, listening to Patty, I firmly believe, especially considering the email exchanges, you don't have to, here's the, for the haters out there too, you don't have to take her at her word. You can see the email exchanges, and she's saying everything that she said happened. She's saying it to the advocate that she's been assigned, finally, or to the prosecutor. She's saying, hey, I came down there. You told me I had to come down there, I had to do this and that. But instead it was just written off. And of course, you know, it's just like the signs. Those folks will say that, you know, they'd be okay with somebody putting out signs that did damage to them like that. Same people, by the way, that flip out if they have a middle school or an elementary school insult. If somebody, you know, makes a joke about weight, they flip the fuck out about it. But they'd be 100% okay with somebody calling them a PDF file. It's absolute nonsense.
At some point, when does he tell you what actually happened?
After the sheriff left that day and I noticed the gun was gone, that's when he told me.
Okay. So
He told me everything that happened.
how soon after the sheriff left did you find the gun?
I went looking for it right away.
So as soon as they left.
So it was days after, by the way, that this is happening. Okay, so she concealed evidence knowingly for quite some time. I think she realized, this is my opinion, again, looking at this situation, I think she realized that she messed up. Like, this put her in the jackpot. Because he had lied, saying that he had sold a gun to, I don't know, just some guy. And when he said that, again, she knew that was a flagrant lie. And it was a lie that wouldn't hold up, by the way, because everybody knew around there. And everybody was admitting that he carried around a revolver all the time. But he said, nope, not the revolver. Not the revolver. This also addresses the other firearm thing. Sticky Widget says, thanks for 5, dude, but she says he never would point the pew-pew, even when drunk. So why would she take it away? That's a very good question. That is actually, not only that, she said, you know, again, so this doesn't happen again. I mean, obviously there's a concern there. And it's a concern for safety. Just not the safety of the people in that vehicle, of course. I don't know. I mean, she sat on this for days. Because you remember, you know, you had the incident, the next day the police go there, and then you have this delay. Nothing happens for a while. We find out about that, you know. Because we saw that play out real time. You had the media cover it, you had this other stuff, but by the way, Sticky, that came through twice. You can kill that second one if that was by accident. If you didn't want the second one going through, just click on the side of it, and you can delete your comment if you didn't want a second super chat. Just a note. I appreciate people, by the way, backing. When you back, I want to make sure you're mean to back. All right, continuing now. I can't remember, but if you delete your comment, then that'll take it off there.
Well, if you found the gun, you put it away.
Well, not right away, but after John told me, I waited till he got good and drunk, and he was no longer in here.
Same day?
I can't even remember. I don't know what day it was. I can ask the kids.
I mean, was it the following day or the same
You heard
day?
that? Wait. Let's see. Okay. So, listen to that.
Well, not right away, but after John told me, I waited till he got good and drunk.
So, I waited until he got sauced up yet again. I waited until he was just hammered, good and drunk. For an alcoholic to get good and drunk too. I want you to put that on the scale of like me. I don't drink. For me to get good and drunk would be nothing, you know. Like my only vice, again, I'm not encouraging this in any way. I'm just saying my advice, you can hear it. It's a cigar. You know, that is my vice. I keep a vice, but that's it. I need something to keep my faculties with a child around. So if I were to drink, good and drunk for me, it would be like, you know, 1 or 2 drinks and bam, I'd be just dead to the world. For an alcoholic, though, good and drunk, whew, man. And she didn't confront it. It's fascinating because she's noting she didn't confront him right away. She waited until he was sauced up. And then went after it. Oh, sorry, Sticky. So it was a different comment from the first line. Let me make sure. Okay. I'm sorry. When I saw that, it came in right behind it. And it said, when I saw it, I thought it was the same one. It doubled up on my screen here, but I see it now. That was my bad, dude. That's my bad. I just, like I said, I'm so, I appreciate when people back. Again, most of our streams get demonetized. Even if they monetize, they'll monetize the next day. So the stream makes nothing, you know. But people back, they're always here. So it always works out. You know, so I appreciate people who do that. Having said that, I wanted to make sure it was there. Okay, let me read this here. She says he lies about everything all the time, but she believes him when he says he didn't point it. That's true too. But see, it's inconvenient. It's an inconvenient truth. You know, she says that he lies all the time regarding things that, again, like Jeremy said, and many other people have said this too. She talks about him negatively all the time. You hear it in different things. You hear negative commentary. Again, I pulled up the statements that she herself made, you know, and there's video to go along with the statements that she had made. Just a note, you know, she had said that, quote, the ex-spouse that I share my land and stuff with, I couldn't read my writing for a second, they know his abuse toward me, verbally, emotionally, not a good thing. That was a public statement about him. She also said that, again, he brought a RSV into the home intentionally, knowing that it would be a risk for the child, but he thought that that would strengthen the child's immune system. So, I mean, she said a lot of stuff, a lot about him, and yet.
And he was no longer in here. I can't even remember. I don't know what day it was. I can ask the kids.
I mean, was it the following day or the same day?
I think it was the same day.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So he got good and drunk.
But
that gave you an opportunity to...
John has threatened my mother. At times when he's drunk and he gets mad at me,
yeah,
he will call my mother and tell her he's going to kill her or do something stupid. Because he's a...
You heard that. Okay. So she's saying that John makes threats to do harm to people. That when he's drinking, he will call her mother and threaten to offer. Again, her words.
He will call my mother and tell her he's going to kill her or do something stupid. Because he's a mouth. John's a mouthpiece. He's not a physical beater.
I'm sure the alcohol doesn't help them out.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's been raised as an alcoholic. He's been an alcoholic his whole life.
Yeah.
I have his ex-wife in a bottle in my shed. I have his ex-wife. He belittled her, humiliated her, abused her until she couldn't be anything anymore.
Yeah.
They got divorced, but she never could recover from his abuse, and she died of alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
You caught that, right? Again, hear this. These are the people, again, that are supposed to be the greatest poor indigent folks out there, poor unfortunates, people are giving money to. They're out there, you know, trying to buy them whatever, and saying that you're...
I have his ex-wife. He belittled her, humiliated her, abused her until she couldn't be anything anymore.
Yeah.
They got divorced, but she never could recover from his abuse, and she died of alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
So, despite the divorce, according to Lynette, again, we're supposed to take her by her word. Lynette has his ex-wife in a bottle. Because everything that Cook, according to her, again, her own words, was so bad that she never got past it. He was such a monster. Like, again, you're telling me that's not a red flag. All of this stuff, again, all of those proposed lawsuits, I don't know, where a certain person likes to say that they're going to sue. Because people have talked about concerns or this or that, really. Because when you hear something like that, the environment that you're talking about, I mean, she's crediting it being so bad in the past that it destroyed another person's life. It destroyed them. It took away everything. That's her own words to the police.
So, I'm afraid.
Do you think it's possible he could have pointed that gun over there?
I don't believe he did.
I mean, with him being drunk and silly?
I don't believe he did, because he never points the gun, just like the last incident. He didn't he didn't even have the gun in his pocket. The first incident, which...
Wait. Other incidents? Hold on, I got to cough real quick. I thought there were no other incidents, baby. I thought the incidents weren't real. So now we have other incidents. We have admissions of other incidents, in fact. Incidents that, if you'd have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I seem to remember the denial of this stuff repeatedly when it came to courtrooms. Wouldn't that mean if you knew that incidents had transpired in the past, saying that none of this had ever happened whatsoever? He never points or does anything like that. If there have been other incidents, that's a real problem. I said that should be anywhere else. These would be huge issues, because this would mean that you've gone in and you perjured yourself, lied about things repeatedly, but not here, not in this, right? What's up, Freddie? Freddie Prog. Thanks for the super chat there. Can't get over AG comments in the video. Mama has crackheads. I couldn't understand, like, I didn't catch that specific comment if it's already happened there. I'll have to go through and I'd like to listen to some of the background statements. I listened to this the first time when it was posted again by Shara. And when I went through it, again, this came up at 3 o'clock today. So when I listened to it, I thought, it's good. Again, she just took it and put it up. I don't know, put a picture in front of it. You could tell, like, from that, there was no amplification or anything else. So I went in, I put in noise reduction. I have what I cut video with. It's a program called VideoPad. It's an older one. There's much better ones, but I like it. I like to use it. But they have a simple amplification item. So I amplified it to 140%, I believe. And they have a noise reduction filter that gets rid of a lot of the hissing and the popping. Now, you can't get rid of the movement. It's like, you can't get rid of that because that's a person walking around with a camera on them. So there's always going to be sound, and the stabilization's not good. But the rest of it, I just took it from there. But when I cleaned it up, I checked to make sure that it amplified the sound so it came through crystal. Like this part is coming through very well. But I did not have a chance to listen to it. Oops, knocked my lighter over. It sounded like a bomb going off. Anyway.
It was months ago, a year ago, okay? He walked around here. His knees were both still bad. One had cement in it. And he walks over here and he went like this. His arm went up. And as he does that, Hale snaps the shot. Yeah. So he gets a still picture. That's the picture he posted or whatever. That's what they were hoping would happen this time. They knew that John carries a gun. Yeah. They knew that.
So they admit that John brandished a firearm. This is an admission, by the way. They blame again Jeremy Hales for that. But this is an admission. I mean, just really drink that in for a minute. Because there's so much in some of these that comes up. People, there's so much crazy that happens. The little pieces get lost in the mix. But right here, again, they're saying that the guy that has been told that he needs to take pictures or video, he needs to make sure, by the police department, mind you, that everything is documented or it does not exist. According to them, took a snapshot. And John responded. And then they put in this insane conspiracy that these people that decided they would go down to Tubetown, just as some kind of visit, that somehow they had gotten together because they knew that John Cook would react this way. So he's so volatile, according to Lynette here, he is so volatile that his go-to is to pull out a pew-pew. That is his go-to. Like me, again, if you live in I had somebody write from the UK, and props, I actually appreciate you folks with different points of view, mindsets, because like this kind of stuff, the idea of people being armed is such a foreign concept. In the United States, we have areas where people aren't, they're not armed all the time. But in the South in particular, you have a culture of it. You think about like Otter Creek. You're in the middle of nowhere. The police, sometimes they don't have the best reaction times. So, of course, you have your own thing. Now, responsible ownership, that's one thing. You notice also in these small towns, if you look at their statistics, like our town here, statistically, like I would say there are probably more firearms than people in this area. But statistically, we've had there was one shooting 2 years ago, I think. I believe that's it. Now you have other problems because of drugs and other issues, but with people brandishing them now, I'll tell you here, if somebody were to brandish a gun, they would go to jail. There would be no question about it. And if you went in and you lied to the police about this stuff, you continued to lie, there would be consequences to that. The only reason that the police found it, again, in this, I'm curious how John Cook, what he thinks happens with his firearm. Does he think that she ghosted it away? Does he know exactly where it's been put up? Does he think that she disposed of it? Because she disappeared the evidence right after the police asked about it. She heard that. Her own words, her own statement is, she heard him say that he had sold it, and she knew that was a problem. So he gets good and drunk. Same day, and she ends up ghosting him. And tie stick. Thanks for the two there. The name of JC with the pew pew is from a video. Indeed, we've seen the video stuff. But that's a good point there. It is. The craziest thing, though, like I'm saying here, and I hear people really drink this in, is when you're presented with an absolute admission that something happened. 100%, this is an admission. You know what happens from the quote-unquote PR? And all the people that excuse it, they try to blame Jeremy Hales. They keep doubling and tripling down because somehow it's okay to do that. They tell you it's not something to worry about, because even though there's a giant red flag and the person that lives there that owns the property as well, they're telling you that it's a giant problem, that's nothing, or that it's old news. Again, the commentary on with Shara, You have people telling her this is old news. It doesn't matter. That somehow you should just ignore it. Because ultimately, there are people that just want to blame Jeremy Hales for everything. And that is absolutely insane.
That if they stopped and screamed at him.
Why not, if you know the stuff's going on over there, why not tell us what happened? Because that seems like it would help resolve some of it.
Because John's...
Like, we're not blind to the fact that there's some other stuff.
John is a liar.
Now, you see that? Okay, there's two statements in that, but I want to replay that. So, number one, this police officer makes a statement here, which is saying, he's telling Lynette, hey, why don't you just call up? Hey, they've made up enough stories, right? Why don't you just blame him for some other stuff? Because we're aware of some stuff. Well, really, that's fascinating, considering a court of law didn't see it your way, did they? These are supposed to be an extension. Well, law enforcement has told this man over and over again that he has to record every damn thing. In fact, during this situation, they asked George if they were still filming, if they had caught this incident on film. Like, that's frightening to me, because what it sounds like is if something's extreme, like the extreme that I'm afraid is going to happen one day, I am afraid that there's going to be something terrible happen. I hope to God that, like, again, Jeremy takes all precautions. I mean this, again, I'm not saying this to be dramatic or anything. I'm just afraid that with nothing happening, that the escalation, it continues, and it's dangerous. And then you have law enforcement. Again, you heard their statement. Why not call us? Because we're aware some things are happening again. And she said, well, because John's a liar. Just listen to that statement by law enforcement.
Resolve some of it.
Because John's...
Like, we're not blind to the fact that there's some other stuff.
We're not blind to the fact that there's some other stuff. Again, that's absolutely crazy to hear law enforcement say. There's a crime that has not happened. And she's reporting shit all the time. But there's a imagined crime. Like, I'd have a real problem with this. I'd make sure that I documented a police complaint. I'd document a few. I'd document a complaint that they're going over and telling her stuff like that. Because they're indulging what I feel is fantasy. Or they're telling them, you know, again, to make excuses for behavior. Like what they're doing, they're investigating somebody lying or pulling a firearm on a group of people, including a child. They've interviewed multiple times, and there have been lies about it. Just flagrant lies about it. Then you find out that the weapon that was involved, they concealed it until the police come in with a warrant. They concealed it. They hid it away like it didn't exist. With a warrant, maybe the reason to turn it over is because you know it'll get found too. I mean, if they did their due diligence, they might actually find it. So why not cover yourself? Why not cover? You know? But they're treating a party that's not even involved. Jeremy Hale's not even involved in this situation. I really want you to drink that in too. He's not even involved. But there's already an excuse to blame him for this situation. That is infuriating. And I'm not talking about the blame that she is dishing out. That's one thing. It's expected. That's annoying and nasty. But that's expected. But law enforcement to indulge this stuff, that is another. They've been told all this stuff. Again, they're not bothered by the fact that an extreme alcoholic is walking around armed. They're talking about preventing this portion of the situation. What about, again, that is a massive red flag. From everything that she said about safety on the property, about everything else. And again, she's saying that incidents have transpired. And that he was awful enough. Did Jeremy Hale somehow cause the stuff with the ex-wife of John Cook too? Is that somehow part of the narrative? Because I'm not understanding how what we heard in this already, how you can pin everything on Jeremy Hales. I mean, she sat here and said that he was such a monster that despite divorce, she never got over it, and it ended her. All of that stuff, and still you have law enforcement saying, well, why not do this? Why not do that? And then her answer.
John is a liar.
John is a liar. Again. 1 second there.
John is a liar.
John is a liar. Just straight up, her answer to it. Why not do this? Why not do that? Because John is a liar. So John lies. She admits that John is a liar. But somehow, in some way, him pulling the pew-pew and pointing it at these random people, that's a bridge too far. Yes, he's a liar, obviously. Because he lied to law enforcement. He lied repeatedly to try to get himself out of trouble about this situation. According to her, with what she's talking about him, brandishing a firearm before, I seem to recall them denying that. That would make him a liar then, too. Huh. Why not do that? Because John is a liar. Huh. That's from her. Again, this is not Jeremy Hale saying this stuff. Again, all these people that backpad and make excuses. How do you excuse that? How? How indeed?
John is a, what do you call that? He's a narcissist. Just like Hale's. Not one thing that comes out of Hale's mouth is the truth. Not one. John's the same. He's absolutely the same. And he thinks that you gotta lie to cover everything up. You always lie, never tell the truth. I do not believe with him for 1 minute that he pointed that gun, because he never does.
Yeah.
He never does.
Based on the past history, he hasn't.
Right.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So based on the past history, fucking officers, dude. I swear. Now, of course, they're supposed to get information. That is part of it. You pretend to be a friend and you get more information. I get that. In any other place, I would even excuse that behavior. Because, you're fishing for evidence. You see many people give confessions, confess to crimes, thinking that a police officer is their pal. When they're not. They are not your friends. Even as a victim, they are not your friends. That is a nasty lesson. That is a lesson that, I've seen play out many times. I've seen it myself. They're not your friends. And like I said, most of the time, I would look at this as an investigation technique. But in this place, where you've seen things dismissed repeatedly, what makes me afraid is it's not an investigation technique. What makes me afraid is it's just a way to rationalize this horrible behavior. But what's fascinating is she has painted herself again. Now let's look at everybody that she's gone after and said is a monster, right? Actually, let's look at this a different way. Here's the thing. Who isn't a monster? Who does she not say is some kind of a terrible person that is around? Who has lived on that property or has had incidents and she's not gone after in some way, shape, or form? Because I think that's a really telling thing, too. And remember, it's not just the Hales. It's anybody that dared to even talk to them or try to help somebody out. Again, like somebody called them the quote-unquote Trespass 5. All those people that tried to help out Lloyd. All those folks, they're monsters somehow. They're monsters enough to sue. Lloyd, you saw the narratives about Lloyd. And you saw people go after his real life, digging into it, trying to ruin him. People that say, by the way, that they're the PR for this person. They're admitting connection to them. So they're their PR. and they ruin other people's lives. Mm. But Lloyd, the guy gave money. Lots of money, by the way. He's a monster. The kids that lived there, or I'm sorry, the young adults, I should not call them kids, you know, because they are not kids, they are adults. But those, she said horrible things about them. Every person that stayed there, they were friends, you know. Remember the person that had the stolen, again, I'm not saying none of these people, you know, these people, I don't know who half these people are. They may all be freaking, like, degenerate crackheads, too. But, you know, like the person that was supposed to be a great internet friend brought down an RV that ended up being stolen. Obviously, they sound like they might be a degenerate crackhead. The people that were supposed to be helping her out, she said that stole from her, stole the tortoise and more. But also, I mean, look at the like the Grangers. The Grangers strike me as people that try to be nice, that try to help. I mean, this is a person that, like the Grangers, for example. Madam Mayor talks about her her contact with Lynette. She talked about how she had not only gone out of her way to help, but remember, John had an incident, according to her, and they were called over and ended up saving a life. You know, you're talking about people that have moved trees, helped out, given money. I mean, again, like who else? Shara. Shara's apparently in the weeds. Again, you can dislike anybody that's associated too, but it's just fascinating to me that Shara now is a bad guy as well. I just turned on her, and according to her, threats and more. Look at other people again, like people like getting slow, like who's left? You know, I'm not saying that she knows or doesn't know who a slug is, but you know, again, he's somebody that the people around there, he was good to go, and then those people turned on him once he had an issue with behavior. Fascinating. He goes from pit bull to a person that they, pit bull to, according to them, I'm not calling a person this, but pit bull to quote unquote PDF file. According to them. That's what he was saying. He said that in the super chat, that they'd called him an ARPist. They had called him a PDF file. That was his statement. I can see that yesterday in a super chat. I think it was yesterday. It was in one of the streams with the super chat. But they've dug into people's. Again, they go after. Like I said, Lloyd's a prime example. Lloyd was good to go. He was the greatest person ever. He was a piggy bank. Until. That's what, again, the Shara stuff sounds like. She was like, I gave money. I gave them money because I thought it was for emergency electrical. I gave other amounts, and look at what's there. But anyway, let's continue.
And he taught those children right there gun safety. Well, one of them from this page.
Here's what we have to look at is he pulled a gun. He brandished it, and
it stands your ground.
I understand, but when we come and we say, "Hey, what happened?" and that hurt.
See, they wanted to play out the stand your ground thing. That's why the narrative is the way it is, because stand your ground, baby. Not 1960. Thanks for the 10 there. Hey, Tug. There's a guy in Texas that is letting people live on his land for free. Can we ship Lynette and her posse there and finally get rid of her? I'm sure Jeremy Hales would love it. Just need an RV. Yeah, you know, here's the thing with Lynette. Like honestly, all jokes aside for a minute. She is so memeable, as Megan and I have talked about before. She is so memeable. She's almost like a living meme. She could go out and make her own money. She could continue to dislike Jeremy. Again, she could talk about him being, an awful person or this or that. There's a lie. You know, there's a line. When you're calling someone, again, when you're making accusations, they did something. Like when you're saying someone's a PDF file, no. Can't go there. Okay, can't post signs about that. Can't go out with these saying that they're going to kidnap you and, you know, all this other crazy shit. But, you know, I hate them. You know, I think they're this or that. Yeah, you know, you can pound the table. And we've talked about she could. This will never happen, by the way. They'll never back down. They never will. They just dig in their heels, and she is her own worst enemy. She is absolutely her own worst enemy. Like these kind of statements here, all of those admissions that she made through court. But I mean, anyway, let's continue here. Give me 1 second. I got to reset my mouse.
I know
It takes
that.
a little bit, right?
I had
Because then it discredits anything
I
they
had
say,
it
and
out
it
with
provides
him.
credit to the other person, right?
I'm sure. Hey,
Yeah, the police officer just asked. He said, you know, like when you're doing this, when you're going in and you're essentially saying, like, X, Y, or Z happened, and you're pointing at them, and they're saying, no, this happened, and they're pointing at you, you realize that lying, doing this other stuff, that discredits you, right? And yeah, 100%. It's the same thing I kept asking, you know, how many lies do you need to hear before you're like, wait a minute, maybe this is an issue.
Waylon, did I or did I not have it out with John about what he did? The lie. No, never mind. I want Landon. I told the truth. I know you didn't point it. Landon, come here.
Let's do this. I don't want to talk to him separate because here's what I don't want to happen.
I'm not going to give him nothing.
I understand, but someone could say, right? Someone could say he's just repeating what you're saying. So
Okay.
How about I do this? How about I talk?
Yes, indeed. Like that is a problem. And that seems to be what happens, you know. Oh, did I not? Because I told the truth. You know, again, she's yelling out a narrative there. And as far as the interview process, when you're talking to people, you need to get their story by themselves without coaching. But here's the issue. They may have gone in and did a discussion with John the first day. They may have come back the following day, but they let all this time set. So if there was going to be a narrative that was produced, they allowed this to solidify. They allowed many a day to pass. So, you know, people could cover that backside, right? But yeah, she's yelling at other people saying, didn't I do this? Didn't I do that? Didn't I have it out with John? Sounds like a very horrible place to be, by the way. You know, it is interesting too. Remember, her own statements, John's a narcissist. He's a monster. He's a liar. He's all these terrible things.
Talk to Landon separate from you. That way, no one could ever come back and say,
Right.
well, Miss Preston's just saying this to him. She told him what to say.
Landon, I'm
Just
only going to
tell
say
him
this.
to be the truth, to tell the
Landon,
truth.
I told them the truth. So about John having the gun, can you talk to him and just tell him what
Yeah,
I did?
let's
Yes,
talk
he did.
away from Miss Preston, okay?
Yes, he did tell the truth about why I hid the truth. Just tell him the truth.
Tell the truth about why I hid the truth. Now, again, this officer right here has allowed something to happen that should have not been allowed. Because she hid evidence. She admitted to it, knowing all that time. And she said that there. Tell why I hid the truth. Now, it's fascinating because the 18-year-olds in this issue, they've had some interesting things to say about John Cook, too. In fact, they went to the police. Now, of course, does any of this stuff ever amount to anything? Well, we know where we are, so. But what did they have to say? They said that not only in this incident, was truth hidden. But also, they reported inappropriate touch from John Cook. They said that on the 4th of July, that he had inappropriately touched a female. And that they had concealed this because there was ongoing litigation with the Hales. That a certain somebody had asked them not to talk about it. And they ended up talking about it a month later. They discussed it. They didn't, however, just say this one person is a bad guy. Now, again, we're told in the aftermath, of course, everything was supposedly honky-dory. In fact, like I said, I had a certain lawyer send me multiple pictures and ask me, even though they told me, you know, don't cover these folks. Ask me to cover it. Asked me. Because everything was okay. Everybody looks happy, right? Do they sound happy? Does this sound like happiness to you? Is this what happiness looks like? Because I have to say, it doesn't look like happiness to me.
I fucking know. All I know is he had. I didn't
go ahead and.
I know he didn't pull. That's all I knew.
I can't loaded.
Well, what's your name?
John always carries his gun though. Everybody here already.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows he carries his gun. Now, you heard how he's going through this. And then she's making a statement here. Now listen, like I said, let me just make sure you catch that. You know, but everybody knows he's always armed. Everybody knows that. And then listen to how she says and where.
That's all I knew.
I can't loaded.
Well, what's your name?
John always carries his gun though. Everybody here already.
Yeah, hey, Preston. Is Preston?
Yeah.
Let's step or Landon?
Landon Preston, yeah.
Okay. So tell me what you know.
Basically, we were on the road. Her phone starts getting blown up. She answers the phone. John's like, hey, yo, there was such and such somebody who pulled the fuck up, and they're screaming, yelling. I started screaming, yelling. They whipped out something out of their car at John. John swore up and down. He goes, you know what a fucking phone looks like. He goes, it really didn't look like a phone, but I can't tell what it was. He goes, so he ran around the side of the house. Because first he was hiding up behind this tree right here. And then he ended up dipping out behind the house. And then he was sitting, you know what the coop is? Have you seen the coop yet?
Yeah.
A little tiny, small coop, yeah. He went and was hiding behind that or whatever the hell, because he thought they were coming back and forth with the gun, because they drove down the road. Then they shot back in reverse, and they were screaming profanities and shit like that. And I mean, he was.
Were you here during any of that?
So you hear how embellished this tale has become now. Now it's gone from somebody, they yelled something and were leaning out to they're having it sounds like a heated exchange. Like, again, you caught that. Like, just again, I want people to note, because it's all denied. But he says, I mean, just listen to how embellished this becomes. So she answers her phone. That's where I'm going to pick up. Just to make sure, drinking this.
She answers the phone. John's like, hey, yo, there was such and such somebody who pulled the fuck up, and they're screaming, yelling.
So they pulled up. Like now in the narrative, like I said, they pulled up. They're screaming and yelling.
I started screaming, yelling. They whipped.
I started screaming and yelling. So in this narrative, this like, again, becomes even more embellished. There's the back and forth. Like that wasn't part of it, was it? That wasn't part of her tale. This wasn't the way his tale went, but it becomes yet another tale.
Whipped out something out of their car at John. John swore up and down. He goes, you know what a fucking phone looks like. He goes, it really didn't look like a phone, but I.
By the way, I'm curious about this too. So he couldn't get a hold of her, right? So he was supposed to be texting. So he's saying it like this. You know, that's supposed to be how the conversation went, you know? Because remember, he's blowing her phone up. Can't get a hold of her. He supposedly texted her. From the way I understood what was being said before, he's texting her. Okay. And then, of course, they've adopted this stand your ground the way that they were going to try to play. And they allowed, actually they did nothing. Like, I would say they allowed him to provide that defense, but their letter actually said, we were worried that he would. He never was put on drugs, never had to promote defense. You know, Sticky Widget thinks so too. And these quote unquote witnesses were not even there. Yes, that is a big factor in this too. You have people, you have 4 people that are privy to what happened. Now, as far as courts go, it's a toss-up on whether or not they would actually allow an 8-year-old. It is horrible, though, that in a situation, like the 8-year-old is upset. Like from what everybody said, the 8-year-old is upset. I didn't hear anybody even ask the 8-year-old anything. Again, just a child is a very good arbiter of truth. You know, they're not very good at lying for you, especially at that age. They're not going to lie for you very well. You know, like you hear my daughter come in and she'll say things on the microphone that are, I think they're hilarious, but they're 100%. Now she's 5 at that. But the same mentality you would see in an 8-year-old. I might even ask her. Now, of course, in a court of law, like I said, that'd be a coin toss anyway, and that's absurdity. But it's like she was an unperson. She didn't even matter in this situation. But the other 2 people, and again, you can think whatever you want about Wes, but like I said, Patty, you saw her exchanges. You've heard what she said. And from day one, her story has always remained consistent. Very much so. She has no reason to lie. In fact, with her not knowing the Hales or knowing anything else, she would have, and again, the fact that there's the quote-unquote relationship is a non-relationship when it comes to Wes, she would have no reason to sit there and to lie about this situation. You can tell too. I mean, when the police, when they talk to her at the very beginning, she's upset. She doesn't want to give her information because she's afraid. But instead, we have these people that are talking about what went on the day. And they're telling you a narrative of what went on. And I would say that wouldn't even matter, except apparently in certain places, I feel like it does end up mattering. Like they took that as somehow part of the truth. People that weren't even there. Like Sticky Widget said, very good point. Not even around. Not even there. But still, they're somehow listened to in that. John, what's up, John, man? Props to you. Props to your wife, too. I always want to give her a shout out when I see you pop up, man. Love to her, too, always. Thanks for 5, though. This sounds like a road rage incident, unless I'm reading it wrong. My mother got a speeding ticket when I was 8. Judge did not ask my opinion. Yeah, actually, the way they make it sound is so crazy. What? According to Patty, this is the way it plays out, okay? They go in to see Tube Town. It's a little set up there. People can have fun. They can goof off. They drive down, they check out the blessing box, which is right there, which is fascinating to me too. If Preston and Cook don't want people anywhere near their property, they have put a box right there in their property asking people to come over, asking people to check it out. It's a blessing box. So, that doesn't jive with we don't want people around. You can't put out something to entice people there and then say, hey, we don't actually want people around. But she says they're riding back down. They hear something. They stop because, again, you hear somebody yelling out. To notice that's got to be pretty loud. Want to find out what's happening? Again, you've heard the you're going to lose anyhow. It's like, what's going on here? And Cook, according to them, he brandishes a firearm. He points it toward them. And, you know, it's so bizarre. Because in this story, we've gone from out-and-out denials to now heated exchanges or whatever, according to witnesses that weren't there. But still, they're saying that if we glean certain parts from it, they're saying that he was indeed yelling and stuff and that he pulled out a firearm. But they're like, oh, but he didn't point it. Uh-huh. Really? So you pull that thing out. You don't make people aware it's there. You pull it out. You brandish it. So like I said, I carry a firearm all the time. Always have it with me. And the only time you brandish a firearm is when you plan on using it. It is not a toy. It is not a conversation deterrent. When you pull that out, there you are saying you intend on using it. Even pulling the thing out should be a problem. That alone should have been a real issue. But apparently, it's not enough. I mean, like I said, what would be enough? But it is crazy. And yeah, like John said there, you know, your mom, when you have like issues as an 8-year-old, the courts, you're like a non-person. But you would think at least with the police, they would be interested. Like if a kid is shaken up, like I don't hear him. And again, maybe there's audio that I'm not hearing in that, but they don't seem very interested in finding out anything with the kid, how the kid's doing or anything. And it's bizarre to me. You know, the law enforcement should especially be looking out for the most vulnerable populations we have. You know, anytime buzzwords are used to describe Lynette and others, they talk about them being elderly. You know, they're populations that can't take care of themselves. What's a child? The child, again, is a non-starter. And it's just awful in its way.
Can't tell what it was. He goes, so he ran around the side of the house. Because first he was hiding up behind this tree right here. And then he ended up dipping out behind the house. And then he was sitting, you know what the coop is? Have you seen the coop yet?
Yeah.
A little tiny, small-ass coop, yeah. He went and was hiding behind that or whatever the hell, because he thought they were coming back and forth with a gun, because they drove down the road, then they shot back in reverse, and they were screaming profanities and shit like that. And I mean, he was. Were
you here during any of that?
No.
So you're getting what he's telling you.
Well, a little bit. Plus, he was also on the phone as we were hearing. Like we heard some yelling and shit.
He was on the phone. Now you catch that. So you hear this. Now this is a fascinating little part too. He was on the phone, so we heard yelling and stuff. So he's actually on the phone during that, according to them. I mean, you did catch that part, right? So it's part of his story again. Listen,
you're getting what he's telling you.
Well, a little bit. Plus, he was also on the phone as we were hearing. Like we heard some yelling and shit.
So he was on the phone as it's going on, and we were hearing some yelling and shit. Now that would have been a fascinating thing to follow up on, and to find out that maybe, just maybe, either no call because, you know, there was no way to hear it, or they were actually witness to what happened. Because they're trying to infer that they were, that's the way I take that, right? I mean, are you hearing that any differently than I am? Am I hearing that correctly? Because when I hear it again, it sounds like he's inferring we heard the incident. We heard some of it. At least we heard some of what was going on. We weren't there. But there was a phone call. A phone call that wasn't supposed to exist. That's nuts. That is absolute nuts, man. Give me 1 second here. Let me check something real fast. I saw something pop in, and I was making sure, you know, somebody sent something and said, oh, you've got to see this. And I was making sure it wasn't connected to this real quick. I always make sure something else hasn't happened. You know, there's so much craziness in this story that I always wonder. Wander, by the way, thank you for the gifted membership there, too. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. And also, John, thanks for the 10. When we lived in Maryland, they illegally require a safety class that registers you with the state, which is why I don't own a pistol. I have a shotgun, and other pew-pews would never register. Yeah, around here, it's a little different as far as our new laws are considered, you know? But yeah, I understand that too. You know, shotgun ownership. That's another thing that I think people that live outside of the U.S. probably are not aware of. You know, all the discussion that you have about registration and everything else, you know, in most places that does not actually apply to shotguns. So, yeah, I don't think, you know, the world is a strange one anyway. When I was growing up, like you go to high school. Okay, with high school, I remember 2 incidents with firearms that directly come to mind. There was a kid that, you know, you're living in an area where there's a lot of hunting. You know, people go out all the time. Well, the kid accidentally brought his pistol that he went hunting with to school. He had it in his backpack. He went and checked it in at the front, and they gave it to his parents in the aftermath. There was no suspension. There was no real warning. They basically just took it and they gave it back because none of this stuff was even a concern. I mean, and there was another incident, and this happened a lot actually, but I just remember this. There was a fight out in the parking lot, and one of the kids that got in a fight, they're right by their vehicle. Their vehicle was open. And I remember looking in their vehicle, and they had a mount for weapons. So they had, you know, like hunting weapons. So they had 2 rifles mounted in their window. And, you know, nobody even thought anything about it. School didn't even do anything about it back then. You know, somebody drove up. They drove up in their car. And again, there's a rifle in the vehicle. That wasn't even considered. And I'm not saying that there was never any violence that occurred, but we didn't see it like in small towns and stuff. You didn't even see that. There would be violence. There would be people that would hurt each other. Sometimes there was violence, like I saw somebody get stabbed with a pencil one time, and you know, there were definitely fights, but none of that. So anyway, continue. I'm way off topic, but still not really. Let's continue.
What did he tell you about pulling a gun out?
About that.
So he's just telling you that he.
I know about that incident, about the gun shit. Like honestly, I just whenever they talk about certain things and it involves the Hales, I'm just kind of like.
Okay, so you don't know nothing about him pulling a gun out.
I was like, of what I know, he didn't pull a gun. I know that he was like he thought there was a gun pulled, but I know he said he didn't. I guess she's saying he did. But
he's saying that he did, I believe.
He's saying he did?
Yeah, so.
Maybe he did. I'm not too sure on that part. All I know is he said something about going behind the house, but John always carries his gun. So, I mean, he has...
So you overheard a phone call
yeah.
that he basically says someone showed up. He thought that there could have been...
That's not what he said, by the way. Law enforcement needs to go back and listen to that again. See, that's so gross. Because law enforcement didn't listen to what he said. They said, you overheard a phone call where he says da-da-da. No, what you just said is you overheard a phone call happening in the moment where you heard the yelling and shit. That's what he said. Yeah, he overheard a phone call, but it's not, it's a different phone call. And as far as the firearm thing, isn't it fascinating how he kind of ducked this question? As far as I'm aware, you know, but when they're talking about the Hales or whatever, he's trying to say, I kind of zoned that out. Now, I could understand that too. I could only imagine being in that household because Jeremy Hales is probably the subject that comes up all the time. 100%. Always the subject that comes up over time. And I can imagine that that would not be something that I would want to entertain. You know, I wouldn't want to hear about the supposed bad guy that lives across the street. You know, the admissions that they give you, they're interesting because they give you this idea. They tell you that they don't fixate or focus on Jeremy Hale or on George or anything like that. But, yeah, now I see. You know what, Jeremy, by the way, so I see Jeremy's video from today. That'd be interesting. I'm going to have to listen to what he has to say. Give me a second. I'm firing my, I lost my chat for a second. I apologize. I'm having to fire I watch you on the phone, so I lost you for just a second. Firing it up there. I see that he talked about this, too. Let me note this as well. I actually don't get any kind of notifications from Jeremy Hill's channel at all. I don't get any at all. So his video came up, 3 hours ago? So yeah, this footage, again, it would be very interesting to see what he has to say about it. I'll look at that because now I want to see that. I thought it was interesting, like I say, that, you know, he put it in a video and everything else. So it became available. One of the things, though, we didn't see in the past, like I was noting, is someone like Shara actually putting that up, too, and talking about it. Again, she highlighted specific points. After we finish listening to this, I'm going to note those as well again. John also said, thanks for the 20. I grew up in small town near Camp David. There were country legends about high school seniors having field parties, getting too close to secure locations, escorted away, made to pour out alcohol. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, we used to, you know. I mean, it's a different world. Absolutely different world. And like you said, thanks to the additional 5 there. Back then, every senior or adult had a gun rack in the back of their pickup window, and nobody thought anything about it. It was a different time. It is. It's crazy to think about. I wish we could somehow reverse time, you know, and I wish that mindset, you know, in small towns, like I said, I'm not saying that there's never been gun violence or anything else, but there's a different, like for me, when I grew up, we saw them as a necessary implement. Like I had my first shotgun when I was very young. I had a 20 gauge shotgun, single barrel. It's so long ago, I can't remember what type it was, but I had it when I was very young. And the reason I had it was because I would trounce around everywhere out in the middle of nothing. I'd already taken hunter's safety, you know, I'd gone through all of that. But there was a different mindset then. And there was nobody to save you out there. I used to trounce around like 180 acres of land by myself. You know, I'd go out there all the time. And it was not safe, you know, as far as animals sometimes. But nobody, you know, with safety, you're taught safety, and that's that. There's that hunting culture. And I wish that mindset of an implement and not a tool for violence. Again, there's a responsible ownership. We're not getting into a discussion about gun ownership either. No, that's not what I'm aiming. I'm just saying, man, it really bothers me when I see incidents like this, because you have a person, admittedly, that is pulling something out like it's an exclamation mark. You know, it's a conversation enhancer. And that's not what it is. That's supposed to be the last-ditch effort. If you run into an issue, you are in fear for your life, and there is no other way to handle something, then that's supposed to be the last resort. But these people are telling you, hey, he's wandering around with it all the time. Anyway, let's finish.
Been a gun. He didn't think it was a cell phone, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
To the teeth.
Let me grab your information real quick. Notes. What's your name?
Let me make sure. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure of something. Just let me make sure there's not a bunch of information out here, because I've not checked that. 1610. Let me just make sure. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm just making sure they redacted all of that. Okay. They did redact the rest of it. I wanted to make sure there was no private information that was going to come up that was some horrible thing. You know, I try to be careful with that kind of stuff. This is, by the way, this is publicly available, but still, I try to be careful with that. Landon makes a couple of comments.
Landon?
Landen.
D-E-N.
Yes, sir.
Preston.
Area stealing.
And what's your date of birth, Landon?
So they muted.
And you have a good cell phone number?
No, I don't.
That's fine. And you live out here?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, ma'am.
I got anger issues. I just smashed my shit.
I got anger issues. I just smashed my shit. So he's talking about, again, all of these people have, again, there's yet another, I feel like, red flag there, too. You have somebody that's telling you they've got anger issues to the point that they destroyed their phone, you know, which, again, like we talked about, taking it out on inanimate objects, like it's your inanimate object, that is not healthy. But when you listen to all this, all these people that have their issues, it's fascinating too. All the stuff that comes up with the 18-year-olds, it's all boiled down to, I got anger issues. You know, all the insanity and other stuff, it's always boiled down to that, right? Come on, play.
Yeah.
That's it, but I wasn't sure. What was that? It looked like it subtitled something and it looked like Russian. It's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Now that alone, that's pretty wild stuff. Now we also, on top of this, we have an update on the thumbnail litigation. Now with thumbnail litigation, like I said, I believe that the thumbnail litigation is vexatious litigation. I think that I'm making sure that this has nothing noted in it, like a address or anything that I don't want here, real fast, because I've got the document right in front of me. But there was a filing that went through. You know, everybody was talking about the sham filing. Here we go. Check this out here. Now, like I said with the sham, I did not, when I read it, I thought the title was funny. You know, when we went through that. But like I was saying, with the sham filing, I didn't think it was a good filing. Why? Because it didn't have a lot backing it up. Do I think it's a sham lawsuit? Absolutely. Do I think there are other grounds to go in and try to get dismissed? Absolutely. There are plenty of other arguments. But when you go in, like when I read, for example, when I read some of the federal filings, when I look at some of the arguments that are there, I think that they're very well articulated. But as far as that sham filing, if you look it up, calling it a sham, it didn't have enough case law. It didn't have enough stuff to truly be like, okay, well, here's the precedent. This is what needs to knock it down. And guess what? Guess what? Now, they wanted to strike this. So I want you to look at this, though. I think that there's enough in it to make it work. Like I was saying, the motion to strike it, it doesn't work. This is setting still. It's not continuing as in like it's knocked it out or it's ended the lawsuit. But they weren't able to end it on this yet. We're going to have a filing to say, let me just read it to you. I'm not illustrating what I'm saying here. So this is their decision saying that they're denying the motion to strike the plaintiff's claim as a sham. So listen to this, okay? This cause is before the court upon the motion to strike plaintiff's complaint as a sham. All right? Filed on. Again, we've had the names out there. the names have been illustrated over and over. I guess what I'm trying to say, I guess this is the way I'm trying to articulate it is, this doesn't mean when it moves forward that, boom, we're into a litigation. There are other moves that you can make. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I lost my train of thought for just a second. So I'm not saying that, boom, you've done something horrible, but that filing itself was just too light. So anyway, look at this. So it has the defendants. Again, remember, we have Jeremy, we have George, we have Larry upon consideration, and Larry. Isn't there another person? Upon consideration of the motion, the records, law, the court makes the following findings and conclusion. The motion to strike plaintiff's complaint as a sham motion is filed pursuant to Florida Rule Civil Procedure. We get the rule there, which authorizes the court to strike sham pleadings, and it is based on grounds that the plaintiff's complaint, quote, contains no genuine issues to be trialed because, quote, the allegations and claims made in the complaint are utterly frivolous and without merit. The court finds striking plaintiff's pleading due to its alleged frivolity would be improper use of the authority vested in the court upon that rule, which limits its scope to sham proceedings. A sham proceeding is defined as one that is, quote unquote, good on its face, but is false in fact. And with that rule, it can only be applied to a pleading that is, quote unquote, mere pretense set up in bad faith without a color of fact, and is, quote unquote, plain fiction. A frivolous pleading, quote unquote, is one which on its face plainly sets up no defense, although it may be true in fact. Then they note again, I guess that's a typo. I thought that was actually a footnote for a second there. All right. This is not long. All right. Not synonymous. Therefore, the court finds the motion filed pursuant to Rule 1, Rule insufficiently pleads grounds for the court to exercise its authority to strike a sham pleading pursuant to the rule. It is ordered that plaintiff's motion to strike plaintiff's complaint as a sham is denied. So the motion to strike plaintiff's complaint as a sham. Again, they note what a sham is. They note the definition. It's like I said, it's pretty short, you know. But again, sham. Good on its face, false fact. Mere pretense set up in bad faith without a color of fact, or plain fiction. Frivolous pleading is one on its face. The plaintiff sets up no defense, although it may be true in fact. So sham and frivolous are not synonymous. So they're noting sham and frivolous and sham, they are not synonymous. Therefore, they felt that it was insufficient, leads to grounds for this court to exercise its authority to strike a sham pleading pursuant to the rule. So they're noting, again, I want to make sure that you understand what it's saying in that. You know? I look at this stuff and I think, like, as far as that litigation is concerned too, if you don't remember the thumbnail litigation, the thumbnail litigation is fascinating considering the same people that are filing it. Again, I'm not going to pull up pictures with that, but I want you to remember something about the thumbnail litigation. They said that, you know, they didn't want Preston's name being utilized. They don't want her image being utilized. But at the same time, like Bruce, again, he wrote me, like I want to make this point with this. He wrote, and then after that, he writes that a thumbnail from July 20th had a photograph of Michelle Preston in it. And he asked me to remove it. So we had a live stream. We talked about that. You know, we had a good old time with it, right? So after that, though, he decided to write me, send me multiple pictures of Lynette Preston, the child, and the 18-year-olds. You can see where I have blocked them out down at the bottom, but you can actually see the remnant of the top. But yes, they sent me multiple pictures saying, aren't you going to cover this? Are you covering the airport photos issue? So they were asking me to cover it. So they were asking me. I was invited to cover this issue. I was invited to utilize pictures of Lynette Preston, even after being told that this stuff that would lead to litigation, you know, because you've seen it. You know, he did not say specifically, we are going to sue you. He always loves playing that game. We didn't specifically say we're going to sue you. But you could see exactly where this was going to go. So as far as that is concerned, like I said, he told me to cover it. I mean, here, again, listening to this, this is my thought on that lawsuit. Do you know Hales is continuing to say that the airport photos were taken when they arrived, not when they were leaving? You know, I wasn't even talking about airport photo. I didn't even realize the airport photo issue was an issue going on. I didn't know there was any discussion whatsoever about it. And then we had, we had the, I'm trying to get my timeline correct on this. We had Jeremy showcase a conversation with the 18-year-olds. He put it in a video showcasing everything. Then after that, they talked about, you know, how they were offering to get them help if they needed it. Now, as far as the way that played out, we have a video later on that qualifies all of that and tells you how it went. Okay, so for me, I was like, okay, here's the discussion, because as far as the conversation with the 18-year-olds is concerned, I found them more telling in what they were saying, not about airport this or that. You know, remember, as far as what they were saying, they made some serious allegations about John Cook, about Preston. And also on top of that, they made some about Bruce here. They said that, you know, he had set up a GoFundMe in their names that was not legitimate. You know, they made multiple claims there. But he was saying, so, to fit the story he told, the kids had escaped for their lives. He was going to link or double down on the airport's photos lies. Some of his fans claim the photos are faked altogether. Are you covering that issue? Or is this where you draw the line between the intelligence of your viewers and the gullibility of Hale's viewers? I assume you're 100% certain the airport photos show the kids were driven by Miss Preston and they appeared to all be happy. Now, again, we listened. We saw the litigation, or I'm sorry, we saw the police report that they filed. Did that appear to be happy? We heard the conversations there. Did that appear to be happy? Did all that stuff appear to be happy? So how can you continue to accept and propagate everything he says without anything from the other side? So again, he's telling me to cover this. So as far as the thumbnail litigation is concerned, this is 100% an invitation to cover that. So when I look at that whole thumbnail lawsuit, it's fascinating to me. They've essentially said that it's okay for certain people to cover it. It's okay to beg media to cover it. It's okay to write folks. Just say, please, please cover this story. You know, we covered that in emails. Actually, I guess that is part of these emails there. Now, here, again. He was asking, really, he was begging journalists to cover, you know, telling them, whichever legal media reporter that covers that will be invited to numerous YouTube channels for legal analysis on an ongoing basis, making promises. Just like there were promises again. Like when you look at the Shizzy Whiz Nut, promises that you're going to get more viewers. You're going to be able to do this and that and the other. So, I mean, as far as the thumbnail litigation is concerned, you can't do that. You can't just pick and choose who you want to cover it and pick and choose the narrative which they adopt when covering it. If they don't like what you have to say, if they think it's a bunch of garbage, and they vocalize that, they have every right to do it. But there were many people being invited on. Again, what just we've seen it with, again, people like Slug, the pit bull, as it were. Like I looked through a bunch of the messages that were sent there. There was a lot more too. Just a note, like I need to talk to Megan about that because I don't think we actually reviewed all of the email unless she went through it, and I'm not aware of it. I don't remember going through every exchange that was noted. There were a few that were actually quite interesting, and I think that they speak to not only the thumbnail litigation, but they speak to other litigation as well. Now, as far as ways to challenge, one of the things we talked about. Give me one second. We actually talked about is SLAPP statutes, which is strategic lawsuits against public participation. People talk about them as the free speech laws, as they were, and you have specific ones that have been adopted. Let me see. The Florida statutes, as far as those are concerned, they have two. Let's see. Here's a breakdown of them, because you can challenge this stuff on the merits of free speech. You have one narrow in scope and another broad. The narrow provision specifically protects homeowners from lawsuits by individuals, businesses, government entities based on homeowners' quote-unquote appearance and presentation before a governmental entity on matters related to homeowners associations. Florida's general anti-SLAPP provision, which was adopted in 2000, expanded in 2015, prohibits lawsuits brought against individuals for exercising their right of free speech in connection with a public issue or their right to peacefully assemble, to instruct representatives of government, or to petition the government redress of grievances. So, you can look at the free speech laws. They're different in every place. So I would encourage you to look through these provisions and see how free speech is protected there. There's actually a grading of free, like SLAPP litigation between different states. And actually, let me see if I can find that real quick too. So let's see. Anti-SLAPP protection scoring by state. I can't remember where Florida lands in that, but there's actually so here's kind of an idea. Now you have the Institute for Free Speech actually grade, and when you look at this, like where I live, for example, we have a grade A 97% for free speech. It's pretty damn hard to come here and to file litigation and try to shut you down because you're talking about something. When you're exercising your free speech, your fundamental rights. We have some very stringent laws concerning that. Florida, however, when you look at them, they actually have a grade of a C-. 50%. Now, they break down like how that works. And here's their statements on it. The anti-SLAPP statutes protect statements made before a government entity, statement made in connection with play, movie, television broadcast, radio broadcast, audio-visual work, book, magazine, musical, news report, or other similar work. So you can see in portion too, statement made in connection with a news report. The statute does not provide for a stay of discovery in the event of an anti-SLAPP filing, although the court must set a hearing on the motion as soon as practical. The hearing must be set at the earliest possible time. Filing, the statute does not describe any specific standard of proof. So again, if you want to go through and you want to see how you can challenge this kind of stuff on the merits of, say, free speech, you can actually look at the law, look at the provisions within the law, and I would actually recommend you yourself, if you're out there and you're talking about things, I would see what laws that your state has as far as that, because there are many states that do not have SLAPP protection. You can't file a freedom of speech. You actually may end up in court talking about stuff. Like, that's one of the things you might want to look at right away when covering cases or anything else. And even if they do, you want to look at how well those provisions actually protect you. Now, like I said, when you're looking at all of this, when you're looking at where the case is, that does not mean, ooh, look at where, they've had some giant victory off of this. Again, like I said, I thought the filing there, it should have been meatier, should have been bulkier, but at the same time, they're telling you in that filing, like they note, a sham and frivolous, they're not synonymous. They're actually different things. So you're gonna have arguments that come back and forth. This thing is going to be fascinating. If it ends up going to trial, holy God, too. That's when things would get very interesting. Because I'm not wishing litigation on anyone, by the way. I'm not wishing on people like Larry. But man, at the same time, if Larry actually ends up in litigation, oh my God. That'd be crazy. Like, that's somebody, when you're picking people to go after, it's fascinating to me to be like, yeah, I want to go after that guy right there. The Hales. The Hales end up in the, unfortunately, they end up in the middle of anything. And you have this expectation that there's going to be litigation. And all the people that are celebrating these kind of things. It's fascinating. Like I said, I don't wish lawsuits on anyone. I'm not saying that, if somebody's out there defaming you, putting up signs saying that you're an ARPist and other things, that you shouldn't after they're trying to destroy your life. At a certain point, I don't know how you handle that other. Because, they've already tried the other direction. They've already tried filing and getting two states to listen and to do something about it. In Ohio, they did do something per se, but they, really, what has happened with that? Now, it does, as far as litigation purposes are concerned, that has popped up in the federal lawsuit, but, still, for all practical purposes, that didn't stop any of the behavior whatsoever. Now, with that, of course, we saw what I believe, in my opinion, are vexatious lawsuits. Frivolous lawsuits. They were being filed that took aim again at many people, and there were more people that were threatened with them too. Those two lawsuits that came up, of course, I'm sure you're aware of them. There's what people have coined the trespass 5, which I think is a good term. And there's also the thumbnail litigation. I believe that, according to what they've been saying, they plan on suing other people too. Like I said, I don't applaud lawsuits for the simple fact that they become an absolute mess. But there are certain people out there that just keep applauding them, and they're going to themselves get sued. They don't like it when they get sued. Now, the other thing I wanted to note before we leave tonight is I wanted to note, again, Shara posted that. Give me 1 minute. 1 second here. I'm locking in. Shara actually posted that footage, like I noted. Now, what's interesting is that in the commentary portion of it, let me actually refresh her stuff. Give me 1 second. I want to see if she's picked up any subscribers while we've been talking. Yeah, she's up to 200 subscribers now. So that's funny. You know, these people are making fun of her, saying, you should read some of the commentary, like I say. So, and like I'm noting, I'm not taking up. You can see my other stuff I've watched too. You know, I get stuff on video games, football, and just random channels here or there. These are actually random. This is random. I'm not sure what that is. But with her statements, I want to read the commentary. She not only posts this, which I thought was interesting enough, but she notes specific parts of the conversation. It kind of gives you a glimpse into the mindset. The mindset, things are getting a popping, aren't they? So this premiered 5 hours ago. Now it's 400 views. And you see the conversation she decided to highlight in this. Preston, I told him you ain't getting no more guns. Sheriff investigator, what was your thought process taking them away? Preston, his brain ain't working right. The alcohol takes a toll on John. Sheriff, what was your thought on taking the guns from him? He drinks all day long every day. Sheriff, what was the concern? Preston, that I didn't want that to happen again. Preston, John has threatened my mother at times, and he gets drunk and gets mad. He'll call my mother, tell her he's going to her. She also noted, and again, this is, I'm just noting this because it gives you a glimpse inside the mindset that's being discussed. I have his ex-wife in a bottle in my shed. He belittled her, abused her. He humiliated her. Now remember, added to that, she also said they got a divorce, but it had taken its toll to the point. And she also noted, John is a liar. He thinks you got to lie to cover everything up. You always lie, never tell the truth. He taught the children guns. I was curious where that was going to go, by the way. You know, she started talking about firearm safety. And then the police officer cut that line of thought off. So I was curious where that actually was going to go. Then Landon, of course, was brought in, and he noted that John always carries a gun. By the way, different John? Different John. I hate saying all this stuff with John, and then, you know, obviously, you know, John, not the same. Just to say, John, thanks for the 10 here. I've read articles that rattlesnakes have evolved to have no rattle. Did them surviving better in the wild? They're taking over. In a world with rattlesnakes, I want pew-pews. That is indeed true. Actually, here's a crazy story. I'll just tell you a random thing. One time, my parents, they lived in an older home. This was when my stepfather, he was very sick. He had a rarefied form of cancer, and he ended up, unfortunately, losing his life. He battled it for about 6 years, and with that, you know, he was an executive at a certain, I don't want to name like where he worked, but he was an executive, did all this stuff, and he continued as long as he could. But within all of that, they ended up moving. There's some family property out in this area. Now, around the family property, there's a point to this, okay? Around the family property, there are snakes everywhere. And any kind of dangerous snake, considering, you know, we'd have kids that would come out, you know, family members, I'd kill any kind of dangerous snake. You know, just straight up. You know, normally in my life, I would move like rattlesnakes. I'd take them out and put them somewhere else. because I don't see the point in killing. If they're out in the wild and I run across them, I'm trespassing on their land. If they're getting too close to my mother's home, though, and they kill somebody there, harm them, they're going to die. Just straight up, you know. I'm not going to take that chance. So anyway, I was wandering their property, and right by their house, they have a bunch of, like a rock formation with a cave in front of it. It's a smaller cave. A person could theoretically probably climb in there, and then it seems to get wider. And it's a creepy little cave formation. It's pretty creepy to look at. Well, it gets sinkholes around it. And one of these sinkholes, later on, after this incident I'm going to tell you about, actually ended up dropping down a camera down into one with a light fixture on it. You know, put it on something where I could retrieve it, dropped it down. And when I dropped it down in there, I found that this was a place that snakes would hibernate. When snakes hibernate, you get like dozens and dozens and dozens of them together. They ride up in a ball. It's if you're afraid of snakes, it's a horrible thing to see. But I was walking around there, and you know, we get rattlesnakes. And like I said, rattlesnake up by the property, up by the house, they're going to die. So I was wandering around. I had a .22 rifle with me, you know, small caliber, nothing big, nothing fancy. And I hear the rattler kick up. I was like, what the heck? And I see a head pop up. Boom. Just a rattlesnake, you know, and it's right up on me. I was like, oh, crap. So I shot it, you know. I shot it in the head and killed it. Right when I did that, another rattlesnake head pops up right away. And I was like, oh, my God, it's a mutant rattlesnake. That's what I thought at first. My first thought was, mutant rattlesnake. What the hell am I saying? You know, 2 heads. So I killed it too. No, it was it was 2 snakes getting their busy on, and I feel horrible interrupting their time. I wish I could have left them alone, but that was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. A snake almost as long as me setting over, like doing its business. I was like, oh no, poor snake, man. It's more poor snake trying to do its dirty. And mean old me, I walk up on it. Oh well. But that was the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. After that, I thought, mutant snakes, yeah, for sure. I want to pew pew. Oh, Lord. Wanda, thanks for the 2 there. Hello, Tugs Thugs. Yes, hello to all of you all, and I appreciate the heck out of you. Like I said, I apologize when I was reading that one filing. I lost my train of thought for a second. I was looking at something in the chat, and when I was reading it, I was like, oh, man. And that was my bad. You know, I get that shiny squirrel syndrome going on. I see something I think is interesting, and I stop paying like enough attention. And like I said, I lost my train of thought. And I wasn't wording what I was saying very well right in there. I was like, I've got to stop that. Because like what I was trying to say in that moment was that, again, that particular emotion being shot down, that is not the end-all, be-all with litigation. You know, you're going to have moves in there. I want to cover this stuff because it's important. It doesn't just involve Jeremy Hales. Like DUI guy, for example. You remember with DUI guy, like this guy, he goes out, he covers this, and then he goes away for months. And despite him not talking about this case for months, decided to take aim at him. Now, I personally think that's because, you know, there was a certain lawyer that wanted to be included in a live stream. He actually talked about this on something. He actually talked about it in an interview, saying that he was supposed to have an interview, and then, like, before it, I don't remember, like, how long before it, but right before it, he says, you know, right before is my words, I don't remember the time frame, that it was canceled. And I wonder, like, would that guy have had litigation pointed at him if it would have been there, if DUI guy would have actually gone in and gave him that platform? Would he have sued him? It does make you wonder there. John, thanks for the 10 gifted memberships too. See, those popped up. Actually, they're still there. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I don't know. Like I said, I look at all this crazy. Let me look at the comments before we go. You know, you see, like, again, specific people. Let's pull that one up too. Good to see you showing true accounts, young lady. She lied. They weren't waiting at the schoolhouse. Michelle will have her day in court. HG will have a new home and fence and all the wonderful things a little girl can have. That's what people took from that, by the way. They didn't take that this guy lied. Lied repeatedly. They hit a gun. They didn't take any of that stuff in. Nope. Their whole thing is, like I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whatsoever. Because somehow, in some way, it's all good to go. Thanks for sharing. The person said, oh my God, mom has crackhead. Is that what the baby said? Will learn what they live. It should never be in her vocabulary. Shit, this is bad. Now again, you know, with listening, I'll have to listen again and see before I say. There are other people I want to, like I said, I want to catch some of the, like these, like this one I thought was really telling. Yes, so, been there, done that. You know, so it doesn't matter. Apparently, people are of the mindset, that was so long ago, it doesn't matter. Oh. Now, personally, I believe it does matter. I believe it points to, because it doesn't just talk about the incident that happened. Then it talks about another incident. It also has her again. She herself is making claims about John Cook. She is talking about him being so awful that he ended another woman. Her allegations. So I don't see how you can just be like, been there, done that, supersize it, who cares? You know? Did they tell? And again, these are the people, you know, I'm not making excuses for Shara. These are the people she buddied up with. These are the folks that she decided for the longest time that they were all good to go. So, I mean, I think it's a very valuable learning lesson. Because they turned on her in a moment. Bam. And apparently they turned on her before that. You know, so, you know, when I'm talking about this, it's not in the same way like if I were talking about squid pro quo. Now, when I talk about squid, for example, never done a damn thing. Nothing. Her horrible thing that she did, she went on Veteran Nation. And because she went on Veteran Nation, she has become a popularized target for some of these people. You know, people to go in and try to wreck her. That's wrong. That's 100% wrong. With this kind of stuff, I mean, of course they're going to react a certain way. But then they're talking smack about her channel. Do you ever think you'll hit 1K subs? I say no. Like, they all celebrate. See, they thought, here's the thing with Shara, and I think this is the mindset they took with her. They thought that she's too small to anyone to ever pay attention to her. But you know what? If she has, like I said, I think she's been witness to a lot of behavior. I think that she's been involved in quite a few conversations. I think she probably knows a lot more than these people would want her to know. So personally, I think what they did is damage control when she was noticed. But before that, they thought she was so small. She got so little attention that it wouldn't matter. No matter what she said, they could go in, they could point the finger and be like, you're this kind of bad guy or that kind of bad guy, therefore, and they thought it would just all go away. you know? Because those people out there that think that Hales is actually telling the truth, they figure, you know, I'm sure she burned that bridge, therefore. And, you know, I mean, fair enough. I could see that. But at the same time, truth comes from truth. You know, it doesn't matter who provides that truth to you. It doesn't matter if it's somebody that you don't like. And like I said, Shara, they didn't just poke the bear, as it were. They decided to call her out when she noted, hey, don't you think you're going a little too far? They decided to basically threaten her life. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to dox some people there. They're going to pull up information about her. I mean, what? What exactly are you going to do? You don't want some of this, essentially, is what they're saying. Again, I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, I mean, they pop up. They're like, oh, you'll never be anybody. Your hand got played a long time ago. That reminded her, your hand got played a long time ago. You have nothing. They're telling her straight up, point blank. And I hope somebody notes this to Shara, too. Because again, where do you think comments like this come from? They come from the people, if they're not the people themselves, and I'm not saying that this is their account or anything. I'm not noting that in this particular statement. But I'm saying if it's not them making a statement, they've adopted a narrative, which you help propagate, by the way. But when you no longer adopted that in the way that they wanted, because certain people, again, admittedly are PR, they're going to absolutely wreck you. They're telling you. They're like, oh, I thumbs you down. Oh, no, not a thumbs down. Oh, no. Whatever will she do? Yeah. But I just think it's fascinating. Again, I think that she knows a lot. I'm hoping with a little coaxing there that she would actually come out. She says that she goes after the truth. Well, I think you've been privy to a lot of it, and especially people like if you were privy to conversations with a certain lawyer, if you've been threatened with litigation because you talked about stuff, if you have proof of that, you should provide it. 100%. Because what you see is a pattern here. But if you had conversations, they were saying before that Shara was part of their legal team. So I'm sure that she was privy to specific conversations. And she doesn't have to, again, she doesn't have to note the exacts to certain things. But she's telling us in tweets that she knows that these people lie. She herself had that. And these folks, they don't care. It's just like, oh, she's no longer useful. Your hand got played a long time ago. You're no longer useful to the cause. Therefore, and they want to remind her of that. It's fascinating to me. But at the same time, they poked her. And they poked her. And they figure that she won't say anything. And I hope she takes them up on that offer. Hey, Terry, thanks for the 5 there. Then that would stop embellishing. All this could stop. I hope Jeremy and George went. I think it's more than embellishment, though. I mean, I do agree that I don't know, as far as you are into this stuff, I don't know if there's a conclusion where you don't win, without litigation. I don't know how this stops, because we've seen that this won't stop. And it's already gotten to that point, to be honest. You're in the federal lawsuit. You've seen what they've noted. They've said point blank, there are these people are trying to destroy my business. On top of destroying my business, they've set out to destroy my reputation. That's part of destroying my business. They've done that not only in the digital realm, but they've also done it in the physical realm. I don't know how you ever cork that genie, as it were. I'm not sure. I would hope, though. I would hope they'd stop, but I don't. I don't have any faith in that. If it were going to stop, it would have stopped before this. You know, the thing that would have stopped it would have been the Ohio order. That's my opinion on it anyway. I don't know. Maybe somebody will surprise me, but I don't have a lot of faith in that. But anyway, so tomorrow, I guess, is a Wednesday. I've been saying over and over again, I want to cover that federal litigation. At least it wasn't in the title this time. But I thought it was more important to talk about than, again, I'm not saying the federal lawsuit isn't important, but I thought the admissions that were made, they'd be important. I'm going to watch Jeremy's video, though, and we'll see what's there. Because sometimes his videos are fun to watch in a live stream and actually see what his thoughts are on everything that was disclosed to. But I'm going to end here. I think we've covered everything. Megan again, you know, like I said, hopefully she will be back Thursday. She had some stuff going on, so, you know, we all have lives. So anyway, I'll end here. I appreciate you folks. We'll see you.